You didn't say 2 or 1. Well, you don't say 2 or 1. Why not? You just don't. Okay? Welcome to the Space and Rocket Review. I am EJ. Joined? No. Sawyer's here. All right? Hi.
We are not adjoined at any body parts. We are about 1,000 miles away from each other, but it is good to be here.
1,600 kilometers. Don't
But
forget.
who's counting?
Yeah, whatever. It's all Greek to me. All right,
No,
so
I think that's European, but anyway.
is Greece not in Europe?
Let's keep going. Hi, YouTube.
Hey, what's going on, YouTube and Twitch? You guys have been here. So we're doing a little bit of a different Space and Rocket review today. How we're going to start it, I do have a lot of links that I do want to end up sharing. There's a lot of different stuff to talk about between, Starship 19, Booster 19 catching, testing. EJ's doing real good. Sorry, I'm in a little bit of a coma. Yeah, we got there's a lot of different stuff that we're going to talk about, but I wanted to start with this, which is pretty funny. So this was released today and Sawyer has had a chance to peruse it. I chose to not peruse it and peruse a sandwich instead, just a second ago.
So yeah, I kind of skimmed through it, so this will be a good time to read in depth in it with you. But from what I did see, there are some fun, harsh words in there and worries about things falling over and elevators not working and other stuffs. And also, being able to rescue the crew if something happens, which they can't.
Oh,
anyway.
Yeah, that's good. Couple of things I was up too late playing Factorio. You do not need to call me out like that. I really don't appreciate it. Please don't do it again.
Blame SpaceX. You said you were going to keep going until SpaceX launched, and then they delayed an hour, so blame SpaceX.
Yeah, it's Elon's fault.
Yep.
Also, was it a good sandwich? I had a gigantic Jersey Mike's steak and cheese with onions and peppers and bacon.
Oh.
It was probably about, I don't know, 11 by like 18 inches. It's a big, the large is a gigantic sandwich. I ate the whole thing. I ate it on the hood of the car, on the Coronet, because it was warm in the garage. So I opened the garage door and sat there and watched trees for a second. But was it good? It was exquisite. And it was warm too. I put it on my heater, the office heater. Yep, it was nice and warm. It's great. Oh, anyway, all right. Let's. So I was just sitting there going, "What the?" All right.
I've been watching you for 114 months. I'm just sitting here watching.
All right, that's fair. All right. I'm just gonna make sure that Discord's turned up all the way. All right, cool. All right, let's do this. So we're going to start with the Office of Inspector
Gadget.
The Office of Inspector General from NASA. NASA's management of the Human Landing System contract. So if you don't know what OIG is, or Office of Inspector General, it's basically it is the IG. What's the right way to say it? Sort of like they go around and they basically make sure that people are doing what they're saying that they're doing.
It's basically meant to be a neutral party that can look through things and from a broad perspective, incorporating government opinions, agency opinions, and contractor opinions, and combine it all together as a, hey, here's some recommendations of what you can do better, and here's what you're doing right.
Yeah. It's basically not redundant in the bad way, a redundant level of review to make sure that programs are getting done correctly. This one is on HLS. HLS is the Human Landing System contracts. So, March 10th, 2026. So let's jump into it. Results in brief. All right. Why we performed this audit. NASA's Artemis campaign aims to return astronauts to the moon for the first time since Apollo 17 and establish the framework for a sustainable lunar presence. The HLS, or Human Landing System, which will enable crew to descend to the lunar surface, temporarily live and work there, and ascend back to lunar orbit, is a key component to that endeavor. To this end, NASA awarded firm fixed-price contracts to SpaceX and Blue Origin for the rapid development and demonstration of each company's unique human landing system. Since the HLS program's inception in 2019, NASA has obligated $6.9 billion for HLS development and estimates it will spend $18.3 billion through fiscal year 2030. Wow. NASA is utilizing a tailored program management approach, giving HLS providers significant latitude to implement their own project management practices while allowing for a reduced number of agency-required reviews and data submissions. However, to gain visibility into the provider's development work and ensure they are meeting safety and operational requirements, the HLS program is employing an insight oversight model. Given NASA's significant financial investment in the high stakes of returning astronauts to the moon's surface, it is essential the agency maintains sufficient awareness into the risks associated with these new technologies and the authority to require system operational changes to ensure safety of the crew. In this audit, we evaluated the extent of which HLS providers are meeting cost, schedule, and performance goals, and 2, the HLS program's implementation of Insight Oversight model, and 3, the program's identification and mitigation of risks to astronaut safety. To complete this work, we interviewed HLS program officials, including program management, contracting officer representatives, safety officials, systems engineering personnel, among others, as well as officials from SpaceX and Blue Origin. Sorry. We also examined SpaceX and Blue Origin contract files, data from NASA's financial systems, agency review milestones, and provider deliverables, risk assessment, and technical requirements. Technically that's not a run-on sentence, but also piss off.
It just needs a good semicolon, that's all.
Yeah, right? Yeah, exactly. Right. Additionally, we reviewed and analyzed HLS program's provider schedule. Okay, what we found. I got Sawyer with me. Yes?
Yep. And just a heads up, before we go into the full details of it, you're probably going to want to read page 32 because it says this was all done before NASA just went and totally upended the entire plan that they had.
Page 32. Is that 32 on the PDF or 32 on the page number?
32 on the PDF. Or the page number, yeah. The addendum. On the PDF, it's 38.
Addendum, February 2026, updates the Artemis campaign approach. Subsequent to the completion of our audit work, NASA announced changes to the Artemis campaign approach in late February 2026. Specifically, the agency's new goals, including standardizing the Space Launch System vehicle configuration, adding an additional Artemis mission in 2027, and undertaking at least one lunar surface landing every year thereafter. To this end, the Artemis 3 mission is now projected to serve as a flight test to low Earth orbit to test systems and operational capabilities in preparation for an Artemis 4 landing in 2028. The new Artemis 3 mission plans include Orion rendezvousing and docking with one or both SpaceX and Blue Origin landers, in space testing of the docked vehicles, integrated checkout of life support communications and propulsion systems, and potential testing of next-generation spacesuits. The agency plans to further define the Artemis 3 low Earth orbit flight test after completing detailed reviews between NASA and Artemis partners. Given the timing of this announcement and the additional decisions that still need to be made, we did not evaluate the cost schedule or technical impact this shift will have on the HLS program or lander providers. Okay.
So it's just important that we read that beforehand. So knowing that going into this, they still assumed that Artemis 3 was going to be the first lunar landing.
Yeah, okay. All right, let's see what they found before Jared decided to change the program here. Well,
there's some doozy words in there for SpaceX.
Okay, let's see what we got. NASA's acquisition approach for the lunar landers has been effective in controlling contract costs, with SpaceX and Blue Origin contracts having only increased by 6% and less than 1% respectively. This was due in part to NASA negotiating mutually beneficial contract changes at no cost to the government. However, both SpaceX and Blue Origin have experienced schedule delays and face technical and integration challenges that have the potential to further impact lander costs and delivery schedules. In particular, SpaceX's lander will not be ready for a June 2027 lunar landing. To accelerate lander development to meet a 2028 lunar landing date, NASA is assessing proposals from both SpaceX and Blue Origin, but it is too early to determine the technical feasibility, financial implications, and schedule impacts of these proposals. Hey, Hydrogen, how you doing? HR, what's up? If you have to debate with somebody that can't understand basic physics, use this. SLS launches are more consistent than your arguments. Rip.
Got him.
Rip. Oh, man. Okay. The HLS program's use of insight and collaborations has shown to be an effective management approach to gain visibility and participatory involvement into lander development and data. However, both insight and collaborations are not without its financial cost to the agency. The HLS program has insight into more than 1,100 focus areas between SpaceX and Blue Origin, with increased insight into engine development, cryogenic fluid management, and crew training. As providers continue to develop and approach critical milestones, increases in insight will likely require additional NASA resources to conduct analysis, reviews, and tests. NASA is also collaborating with SpaceX and Blue Origin by providing requested expertise and knowledge in technical areas such as engineering or safety through the increasing use of NASA personnel and support contractors. While we've found the work beneficial to HLS development, it comes at no cost to providers and is dependent on NASA resources. Furthermore, while the provider's use of government task agreements, or GTAs,
Yep, we had GTA 6 before GTA 6.
Yep. To access specialized NASA facilities and services has proven to be successful. We found the HLS program does not have a formal process outlining how to manage government task agreements submitted at contract proposal that have since been canceled or unfulfilled. Or no new GTAs requested after contract award, which are the financial responsibility of the providers. This lack of guidance led to confusion and a pause in GTA work in early 2025. As a result, the HLS program went through a reconciliation process authorizing NASA to decrement $1.5 million from SpaceX's contract in 2026. The agency determined a decrement to Blue Origin's contract was not warranted. Really?
I guess based on the amount.
So SpaceX gets punished for not meeting a deadline to the tune of $1.5 million?
Guess? That's weird.
That's great. Yeah, maybe we should, do that with everyone that's late with something in the space program.
By the way, I feel like we should probably talk about what a GTA is, a government task agreement.
Yeah, what is it?
Basically, from my understanding, it's basically that you can... NASA or SpaceX and Blue Origin can ask NASA for their help. So either experts, facilities, services, etc., to help allow them to progress. So basically, the fact we had WB-57 footage for all of the Starship test flights, that was a GTA request. The use of the Neutral Buoyancy Lab, that is a GTA request. Blue wanting to use Marshall Space Flight Center, that's a GTA request. So anything where NASA can use their facilities or expertise to help the commercial companies, that's these GTAs we're talking about.
Okay. All right.
Again, that's my understanding from the little bit that I've skimmed.
Okay. Oh, Hydrogen. Hello, EJ. How are you doing? Do you mind saying hello to the stranger off stream? Hello, stranger off stream. Okay. Interesting. All right.
Hello, stranger on stream.
Hey, well, you're not a stranger.
I would hope not.
Yeah, I was going to say.
Especially to you.
I was going to say, we've been friends for a pretty long time, dude.
Yeah, I think it's going on 12 years now.
That's weird.
That's really weird. That's weird. I was in college when we met.
Yeah. Okay, so let's keep going. We noted NASA's proactively taking measures to mitigate and prevent hazards associated with the landers, such as requiring lunar ascent tests as part of the provider's uncrewed demonstration missions. However, despite these efforts, and considering the lunar landers carry the highest probability of crew loss, gaps still exist in the agency's risk reduction methodology. For instance, while HLS program officials believe the program is following agency's test like you fly guidance, We found key missed opportunities to apply these principles to SpaceX and Blue Origin's uncrewed demonstration missions. Additionally, NASA and SpaceX disagree on whether the provider is meeting the intent of the agency's manual control requirement. Incorporating the manual control capability is a key element of HLS human rating certification and part of an essential crew survival strategy. Key decisions on Blue Origin's manual control design have yet to be made.
Yeah, basically I think they're talking about like the fact, remember Apollo 11 when Neil saw the giant
1202.
craters below and had to and had to take manual control of it.
Yep.
It doesn't seem like that's an option really with SpaceX's proposal. They want everything totally automated.
Huh.
That's the implication it sounds like of the disagreement of the astronauts shouldn't need to take much manual control over this.
I mean, okay, that is a vibe. Like, if you wanted to do that, I would want them to test that multiple times before putting people on that.
Yeah, you'd think so.
yeah, I would want them to test that a lot. Yeah, how do you even land Starship manually? Yeah, exactly. How's that gonna work, dude?
I mean, it does explicitly say that they are scared of the risk of this giant monstrosity tipping over. Holy hokey.
Yeah, he does that.
But yeah, that is a big concern apparently, is that Starship will just fall over. So you would think you would want manual control to prevent it from the moments that all of us have had on Kerbal. Oh no.
No. Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, you don't want to no. You want a bingo right in the center.
You get it.
Yeah. Oh my God, dude, we almost got him to say it today, Fluffy. Almost. He didn't say it.
And it wasn't in the correct cadence. Yeah.
Yeah, it was. Yeah, exactly. It was. Oh my God, not oh my God.
I think switch it to gosh.
Yeah. I did. I said oh. I think I did. All right.
Oh.
All right. To improve management of government-spent funds and enhance crew safety and survival during the Artemis missions, we recommend NASA officials, 1, ensure an approach for managing GTAs that have been canceled, unfulfilled, or modified, or realigned is... Oh, that's a weird sentence. Okay, 1, ensure an approach for managing GTAs that have been canceled, unfulfilled, modified, or realigned is formal in HLS program policy. Man, that sentence makes my brain hurt.
Strong.
Ensure an approach for decrementing costs for GTAs submitted after contract proposal, including a timeline for recovery, is formalized in the HLS program policy. 3, update the use of the government resources clause in both SpaceX and Blue Origin contracts to reflect GTA policy changes. Consult with the commercial crew program to review post-variance acceptance risk assessment findings related to its manual control waiver for lessons that can be applied prior to HLS certification. And 5, update crew survival analysis, including decision packages to include strategies for extended crew survival. This sounds like NASA wants to be able to, or at least the Investigator General wants NASA to have a little bit more oversight in their lander programs.
I think it kind of needs it at this point with the little bit of information that we've seen trickle out there. It sounds like they really don't have a lot of the information that's needed to make these safety assessments. And you can kind of get that vibe just by reading the table of contents.
Yeah, right. What do we got? NASA is controlling HLS contract costs, but lander development challenges have delayed planned Artemis mission dates. I mean, that's what happens when you flat fund things, when you control contract costs, because the lander's fixed price. It's a firm fixed price thing. Developing on a firm fixed price is just as dumb as developing on cost plus with no deadline. Yeah, if you have a deadline, cost plus is favorable. And I know everybody hears cost plus and freaks out. No, not necessarily true. I would say that developing on firm fixed price under a deadline is a really bad idea. Because there's a lot of unknown unknowns with what you're doing with spaceflight, but controlling the cost is going to mean delays, guys. I can already tell you. Anyway, NASA is effectively collaborating with HLS providers, although constraints exist. I'd be interested to see that. So I'm guessing selecting crew survival as an option would be considered unacceptable? Question? Yeah.
I mean, it says it right there. NASA ruled out crew rescue capabilities for early crewed Artemis missions.
I mean,
Yeah. That whole section of just the table of contents had my jaw on the ground, and that's when I'm like, okay, EJ, I'm joining you for this. I'm joining you. This is ridiculous.
There's no way.
Oh, there's way.
I need to see that part. That's the part that jumps out at me. Hold on. You've got to. What?
I was reading through it. You got to read through the whole kind of section of that, though, to understand what they're getting at. So that section starts with the document page 23, and the part you're looking at was pages 28, 29, and 30 of the doc itself, of the PDF, sorry, of this form.
Okay.
So that
NASA incorporates astronaut safeguards into landers, but operational and resource constraint limit risk mitigation and crew survival efforts. Okay. Of the numerous systems required to choreograph the Artemis missions, HLS carries the highest probability of crew loss. Yeah. Yeah, and Orion.
And the sky is blue.
And yeah, and Orion can't get near them either, because, well, that might change in the future. So, to avoid a catastrophic event, NASA is proactively taking measures to mitigate and prevent hazards associated with the landers. Despite these efforts, gaps exist in NASA's risk reduction methodology, including in its testing, posture, and crew survival approach. Furthermore, there are emergency scenarios that NASA will be unable to mitigate during early crewed Artemis missions. Ultimately, should a catastrophic event occur, NASA currently doesn't have the capability to rescue a stranded crew from space or the lunar surface.
Yeah. Yeah, that's reassuring. So yeah, you may just get stuck on the moon, that's all. Or if you're able to make it out and stuck in orbit around the moon and can't get back to Orion, yeah. Then we get that Nixon speech that we never wanted.
Yeah. Hey, Snarfers, what's up, man? Yeah, I got Sawyer with me. We're looking through this, for the first part of Space News, we're going to be looking through this OIG report on the lunar landers, the Artemis lunar landers. It's, there's some, there's some things in here that I kind of
Would
agree.
you look at that?
Would you look at it? Here. Brimo, you were going to say, wasn't that true during Apollo as well? Well, they always had another Saturn V teed up with another lander in case, and the lander could land automatically.
And they do address that, actually, in this. They do bring up the whole, hey, here's Apollo's kind of redundant, and here's why right now that isn't an option with the current formation of the Artemis program. Sorry, I'm spoiling. Spoilers, that's when we get to, page 28.
Okay.
But keep going.
All right. The HLS program providers are tracking and mitigating top risks, including those related to landing or lander system constraints, missed ascent from the lunar surface, and a failed return docking with Orion or Gateway. We don't need to worry about that second part, though. I don't know that for sure, but, NASA utilizes a strategy to control these threats as its primary method for minimizing hazards and risks. The intent is to prevent their occurrence or reduce them to an acceptable level. Typical approaches for protecting against hazards include eliminating the hazards through the lander's design, minimizing the likelihood or severity of the hazard. Yeah, that's probably a good idea. Incorporating safety devices, and implementing special procedures. NASA also relies on human rating requirements to design, evaluate, and provide assurance that a crewed system can safely conduct these required missions. Human-rated systems, such as the landers, must accommodate astronaut needs, utilize human capabilities, control hazards with sufficient certainty, and provide, to the maximum extent practical, for the safer recovery of crew from hazardous situations. Additionally, human rating incorporates design features and capabilities that accommodate human interaction with the system to enhance overall safety and mission success. This approach ensures missions operate at an acceptable level of risk to the humans involved. Risk posture that agreed upon limits of risk organization is willing to accept to achieve its objectives is the key factor for making decisions through the mission's life cycle. Using these tools, NASA is working with the providers to address key risks related to the Artemis landers, meaning they'd have a backup. Yeah, I'm going to guess that this probably says Apollo's high flight cadence was probably a redundancy to the program there, but we'll see. So what's the verdict so far? HLS is going to never work. Trey, I haven't wrapped my mind around it completely. I'll get back to you. Lander engineering design constraints. All landers have engineering design constraints related to the size and characteristics of the potential hazards they can overcome during a lunar landing. NASA selected the lunar South Pole for the Artemis missions due to the unprecedented opportunity for scientific discovery. Landing at this location, however, poses many challenges and introduces constraints not experienced during the Apollo missions. It's hilly. The South Pole has a lot of hills, guys. There's lot. It is like trying to land an airplane in the Rocky Mountains.
Yeah, we're talking giant craters and I believe like 20-degree inclines on some of those crater walls. Yeah.
Yep. Okay, so
that would not meet ADA requirements. I would not be able to ramp up that.
1/6 gravity. You never know.
Oh, good point. Anyway, continue. Don't give me ideas now.
I mean, hey, we got to build that off-road rig for you. All right.
True.
Yep. Okay, so landing at this location, however, poses many challenges and introduces constraints not experienced during the Apollo missions, all of which occurred near the moon's equator. Nope. Taurus Littrow is a good ways inclined.
I think the whole point is that they were mostly on the midlands, the flatlands.
They're in the basalt. They all landed in the basaltic lowlands, which is relatively flat. Yeah. That's the right way to say it. But, whatever.
I think that's what they meant, but still.
It's bad copy, Sawyer. All right?
Yeah, someone definitely didn't proofread this.
Yeah. So Nervous, you're saying shadows are rough on the moon too, making it hard for the vehicle driving on the surface. Yeah, I mean that's why there's ice there, Nervous, right? Down in the Shackleton crater is because it's in perpetual darkness. Because it's on the South Pole of the moon that's spinning around the Earth, 1 revolution per orbit, right? And there's just perpetual darkness in those craters.
But I mean, I guess that's why there's LiDAR and other type of technologies that don't require visual sight to track the lunar surface, which is great until you then create a ginormous plume when you have a 14-story, Starship lander about to come down.
Mm-hmm. Yep. For example, a multitude of geological features, including rugged and uneven terrain strewn with rocks in excess of 65 feet in diameter, so that's about 19 meters, and deep craters dominate the landscape, unlike the large plains visited by the Apollo missions. Now, that's right, yeah. Shackleton Crater, a prevalent feature of the lunar South Pole, is more than 2 times deeper than the Grand Canyon. Whoa!
Jesus.
Didn't know that. Understanding this environment is crucial for ensuring the safety of the crew and enabling mission success. It's 2 times deeper than the Grand Canyon?
I had no idea. I knew it was deep, but not that deep.
Dude, the Grand Canyon, yeah. Wow.
Now I want to fly somewhere that deep in Flight Simulator. But anyway.
Yeah, right. Actually, one time in Flight Sim, we took a bunch of small airplanes and flew up the Grand Canyon.
Oh.
It's like the Death Star trench run, man. Yeah.
That sounds epic.
A bunch of people come with me. We should do that again. That was fun.
Yes. Someone had a good question. How deep is the Grand Canyon? Just for comparison, that is it's about 6,000 feet at its deepest, which is about 1,850 meters.
Wow. So that's 12. The Shackleton Crater is 12,000 feet?
Yeah, 3,600 meters.
How? How is that a thing?
Well, it turns out there are these other rocks that float in space and crash into things, and when you don't have an atmosphere, they go deep.
Big boom indeed.
Made
Actually,
me like big boom.
yeah, yeah, right. Actually, the lunar lower basaltic regions where the Apollo missions landed are leftovers from something really big that hit the moon. And the reason why they're basaltic low regions and why they're a different color, guys, is because whatever hit it so freaking hard, it actually heated up the entire moon. And that's why there's lava tubes on the moon, because there was so much heat generated from the kinetic impact of whatever hit it, right? It made lava on the surface, and all that lava cooled over time. And that's why there's different parts of the moon that are different colors. Like one's a darker gray and one's a lighter gray. The darker gray is where it got slapped by something really, really big. Bob, you hit it, you son of a biscuit.
It was the slap chop. That's what it was.
Whoosh, 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 whoosh.
You're gonna love my craters.
Watch this. You're going to love my struts.
I
I started streaming when that meme was like new.
remember. And he was arrested. Anyway.
Yeah. Okay, landers may encounter hazards such as boulders or mounds that are too large or depressions that are too deep for the landing legs and stability design. For example, steep slopes of up to 20 degrees on the lunar South Pole present navigation and landing challenges. Given Starship's height of 171 feet, about the equivalent of a 14-story tall commercial building, there is a risk that its momentum will continue after landing, causing it to tip over. Blue Moon, standing at 53 feet tall. Dang, that's actually pretty big.
Yeah, it seems so much shorter when you look at the comparison graphics, but it's only because Starship is a monster.
Yeah. Also faces landing risks, including exceeding the lander's tilt tolerance for safe and effective execution of critical crew functions. Surpassing the tilt tolerance for either lander, which NASA established as not to exceed 8 degrees to support all post-landing crew activities, meaning takeoff, could impact the operation of the equipment, such as the hatch used by the crew to enter and exit the vehicle. By comparison, the Apollo LEM stood 23 feet tall. See Figure 5 for a relative comparison of lunar landing heights.
If you scroll down to the next page, they usually keep it right on the next page, hopefully.
Yeah. I actually wanted to show that. So it's interesting. They cited Apollo 15. Apollo 15 landed on a slope, and it actually, they bottomed out the lander. And you guys remember like back in the day when Falcon 9s were just figuring out how to land those things, and we'd see them tipped over on the drone ship, and the drone ship would come back in, and we'd see it on like fleet cam, and it looks like someone took the rocket engines and put them in a blender. That, but with the descent module engine. But the Apollo lander was 2-stage, so you didn't need to worry about it. But they did screw up the LMDE because they landed on a hill.
Yeah, 11-degree slope.
Yep.
And keep in mind, that's 11 degrees. We're talking about, as I mentioned, there's slopes of up to 20. So
Yeah.
double that tilt.
Jeez, I never realized how big Blue Moon Mark II is. That's a huge freaking lander.
Yeah, well, again, all you see compared to is the big boy on the right. So it looks small, but
No, that's a big one.
Yeah, compare that to the LEM, which they didn't even put the LEM level with the Blue Origin lander.
Yeah, it's like up a hill.
It's even taller. Yeah, it's even taller.
Notice, yeah, Bob, that's a good point. All the legs are similar in size. They're all similar in size. That's funny. The source of basalt was from the magma. We're in a volcano, surrounded by liquid hot magma.
Oh.
Hey, Love Eagle. Yeah, right? Soy and I are discussing the OIG. This is an OIG report about the landers. Long story short, they might be a little too tall to land at the South Pole. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it's great when a report flat out says in plain language, yeah, this thing is so big that the momentum could carry it after it lands and just tip it over. But that's okay. At least they have a plan to be able to rescue the crew if that were to happen. Oh, wait.
Ooh, baby. See, guys, this is part of the reason why I said NASA needs to do their own in-house lander. Co-manifested, just do exactly what you did with Saturn V with a better performing upper stage from SLS and a lander and Orion. Just do that. Just do that, because trying to do something else is not what we know. We know how to do this. We know how to do that. We did that 6 times. Those over there are relatively unproven. And I love Starship, and I like Blue Moon Mark II as much as the next person. But, yeah, let's see. What else do they have to say? It's a little late.
Makes a good point. Aqualux makes a good point, though.
What's up?
They're saying is they want to see where the COM is on all 3. Just because something's twice as tall doesn't mean it's twice as likely to tip. And I think what the OIG report is getting at is, yeah, so do we.
One man, only one of these options.
We want to know.
What's up?
Yeah, I was like, yeah, OIG wants to know too. Hey, SpaceX,
Right.
Maybe if you had been on your timeline here to get stuff done, we'd have seen it.
One man, what are you saying? Only one of these options on the screen has the capability for permanent presence. Yeah, I see what you're saying. I would actually argue that you'd need all 3, if you really want my honest opinion. Or at least Blue Moon Mark II and this. You need something to just move people down to the surface. So Starship brings the base components, and Starship builds the damn city, right? And then you send people down there, and they go up the elevator into the damn Starship, get the pieces out, bring them back down, and start building out your moon base. But honestly, this is what I'd really want. I mean, a LEM is what is perfect. Like, I refuse to believe the nonsense that people say, like, oh, the Apollo program wasn't sustainable. Well, yeah, that's great. You could sit here and say in retrospect it wasn't sustainable and it was expensive. But if you compare that to every other lunar program we've done, it's pretty damn sustainable for me. You know why? It landed multiple times. That's kind of weird. You know?
And when you add in the capabilities we have today to mass manufacture parts for rockets, just see SpaceX second stages, see that we now already have GS2 5 that static fired the other day, or 6, whichever it was.
It was 5, I'm pretty sure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So,
yeah,
case in point there.
I would argue that, like, the Apollo program was pretty damn sustainable, and you could do everything that the Artemis program does with it easily, like way easily. You could, if you're the descent module, right? You could just build base components onto your descent module. You don't need a descent module, and send them on Skylab style Saturn V's out to the moon without having the descent module, without having to lug around the CSM, doing uncrewed landings with just the descent module and a pressurized segment on top of it. Whoever thinks that's not sustainable needs to go away. Like, go away, because it absolutely is. Trying to make a LEM with modern safety standards would have it over twice the mass and possibility height. Well, safety standards don't care about your physics, so I would hope cooler heads prevail, Fox. But anyway.
It's finding that balance.
Andrew says, if the lander tips over and there's no rescue plan, that equals permanent presence on the moon. Mission successful.
I should not be laughing this hard at that. I'm sorry. Oh, we're getting to that part, though.
Okay. Starship is not like traditional landers of the past.
And the sky is still blue.
Yeah. Well, it's black in this picture.
Fine, I'll sign off. Bye.
Given its height, one unique attribute is its use of an elevator to carry crew, equipment, and samples to and from the lunar surface. Starship's elevator sits just below the crew compartment and is approximately 115 feet above the ground. Man, that's going to be a hell of a view. When you open that door out at the elevator and look around, that's going to be a really nice view. A height taller than the Statue of Liberty from heel to the top of her head. Wait, what?
Jeez. Holy perspective.
Oh my goodness.
But the Statue of Liberty has an elevator in it. It's fine.
Yeah.
I mean, you're not lifting it off and landing it, but still, it's fine.
Currently, there's no other method for the crew to enter the vehicle from the lunar surface in the event of an elevator failure. Yeah.
You just press the button and just keep buzzing it and calling, and eventually someone comes and opens the door.
Yeah. It's like DoorDash. Boop. The HLS program requires at least single failure tolerance to catastrophic events, meaning the ability of a system to sustain a single failure and not have it affect the design goal. SpaceX is focused on building a robust standard elevator design with redundant mechanisms. However, the HLS program is tracking the elevator as a top risk and is actively working with SpaceX to develop alternate methods of vehicle ingress should the elevator become stuck or fail while the crew is on the lunar surface. Hey, I got an idea, fellas. A rope ladder would probably be good. Yeah, that's probably a good idea. Just a rope ladder will definitely do the job. That's probably a lot. That's probably not a lot of extra mass considering what Starship can do.
Yeah, that's. I mean, that's kind of crazy that the whole thing is we have an elevator to get up and down, but no way to get the crew back in if the elevator stops working, which anybody who's ever been in an elevator ever knows is a strong possibility.
Yeah. Hey, but that means Starship is ADA compliant, though, dude.
I mean, yeah, I like that.
That's
But also, if you would then have to keep in mind, part of this is also the spacesuits that they're going to be wearing, which we don't know which ones it's going to be yet. Is it going to be the AXE-EMU, or is it going to be where NASA's now going to take over and work on their design, which the whole thing you were talking about on Friday's Flame Trench? I mean, all of that comes into play too. A spacesuit that's able to either have, run a rope through it, where if that was the case, you can, pulley yourself all the way up 115 feet in 1/6 gravity.
Okay, the HLS program is tracking the elevators at top risk and is actively working with SpaceX to develop alternative means of ingress. Comparatively, Blue Moon, like the Apollo lander modules, uses stairs that are approximately 6 feet above the ground as the primary access method for the vehicle. See Figure 6 for access methods. Oh, yeah. I mean...
Yep, ladder versus elevator versus ladder.
Yeah, the elevator... I mean,
Isn't that like 2 years old anyway, that photo? At least 2 or 3 years old?
Yeah, it's from a long time ago, dude. That's in the that's at Hawthorne. That's in the Boring Company prototype tunnel. Here, I'll show you guys. Check this out. I actually know where that elevator is.
Oh, it's actually on Google Earth.
Oh yeah, you can find it. Huh. Yeah, there it is. Right there. See? See? That's your Starship diameter, by the way, comparatively to like a car. You could fit a car in the freaking elevator.
It takes up, what, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 parking spaces there?
Yep, that's 9 meter. That's a 9 meter diameter. Oh, dude, nice truck. Anyway.
EJ's gonna EJ.
Yeah, I mean, it's a single cab long box. It looks like a, let me take a look, see if we can see the front. Yeah, it's an old F-100. There's another old F-100. Oh, God. That's bullcrap. California just has these vehicles that just don't rust. Meanwhile, we have to deal with these rust boxes. You know what? That's not fair, okay? That's not fair.
Remember, all of those now get to be replaced with Cybertrucks for those SpaceX employees and the Boring Company employees and all of the other employees.
I respect exactly. Cybertruck. I think it actually is pretty cool. If you really want my honest opinion, I think it's actually a pretty neat piece of architecture, especially the 48 volt system. Do I want one? No. Give me my 97 F-250 and we won't have a problem. I am also sick of having to replace sheet metal. Yes. Yes. For the second time, my car is missing a lot of parts because most of those parts rotted away. Okay. Good. Good. Are you covering Firefly Flight 7 today? Nah, we don't cover crappy launch vehicles, S-Master. Sorry.
Ooh. Oh, are they trying again tonight?
Yeah. I'll probably have that on. We have permission to restream it. So I got that. I got that going for me, which is nice. I do, Rarest. Yeah, we got some works. California trucks are unforgettable. Yeah. Would they not be able to have a hand winch on the elevator? I'd do that, David. Just a manual crank, just in case, right? Like, that's not like, you got to remember, Starship's baseline is 100 tons to the lunar surface. You're gonna have to refuel it anyway. That gives you ridiculous down mass. So you're not necessarily constrained by weight. So that also means that, like, SpaceX could have a bunch of redundant systems on their elevator, and it's really not a big deal. It's not like the LEM, where the ascent module, you could, if you punched it hard enough, you'd be able to poke through it like freaking tinfoil, right? I mean, the LEM is made from riveted thin sheet aluminum because they had no mass margin left over, right? Starship doesn't have that problem. That's why there's an elevator on it. And not a freaking not a freaking ladder.
But imagine if you have to use that crank, which I have been stuck on a bus at the Kennedy Space Center.
Oh, no.
We were going out to remotes and the hydraulics broke, so they had to manually crank it down. Imagine doing that, though, with in a suit, which can get hot from all of the work that you've already been doing on the surface, and then having to do it in gloves that are 16 layers thick. Doesn't sound fun. And also, it's pressurized. So now you're fighting against the pressurization of the suit as well to do it. That sounds awful.
I still like my rope ladder solution, to be honest with you. I think, a rope ladder would be good to just actually, so like what I'm thinking now is like a passive system, right? So the elevator pops out, and then you have a rope ladder just that works with the winch system. So when the elevator's down, think like rollout solar array, but when the elevator goes down, the ladder unfurls, right?
Ooh.
So if you're on the surface, the ladder's already deployed. So if the elevator goes wrong, ladder's already good to go. Elevator works, the ladder's part of the winching system, it just rolls right back up. There you go.
Kind of like this. We need to send this to the OIG stat.
Yeah. Elon, give me a call, bro. Have a counterweight so the elevator is mass positive comparatively to the counterweight. If there's a problem, then the elevator will ascend. That's actually a pretty simple solution too, one man. That's not bad.
But does that cause an issue if you're on an extended slant? If you land on an 8-degree
if this lands on a tilt, my idea would work, but most ideas are out the door. I would not want to climb on a rope ladder. Yeah, well.
I mean, I hate doing it on Earth. Why would I want to do it on another world?
You could just jump. You'll get up there. Just jump high enough. Might as well jump.
Well, maybe not me, but
brother, we could get you to jump there. That ain't no problem.
No, just like the ballerinas or in like cheerleaders where they throw them up in the air. Just do that with me.
Yeah, that's what I mean. We get you to jump. Like, that's that. 1/6 the gravity. I'll just pick you up and throw you up there. Yep, there you go. And you'd be like, okay, this is great. All right, I'm having fun.
Although I think Van Halen beat you to that idea. Just saying.
Yeah, David Lee Roth.
Yeah, might as well jump.
Jump.
Go ahead and jump.
Said it before, jetpack in the EVA. I would not want to outgas a jetpack into an airlock, one man. I don't think that's a good idea at all.
Discovery, go at throttle up.
Hey, Norath. Tier 2 36 month. And then Rosebud with a $4.99 super chat. Rope? Keep it simple. That is simple. All right, name one thing you're going to need a stupid freaking rope for. All right, get your damn rope. Charles Bronson had a rope. All right.
So About the astronauts not being able to actually manually save themselves if something happens during the lander.
Yeah. Vehicle
Minor
manual
detail.
control. The ability of the crew to bypass automation to control the lander's flight path is a fundamental element of crew survival and mission success. NASA's human rating certification requires vehicles provide the capability for crew to take manual control during all phases of the flow. Yeah, that's human rating. Yeah, that makes sense. Yeah, now let me read that again for emphasis here. Something type A mishap, okay? NASA's human rating certification requires vehicles provide the capability for crew to take manual control during all phases of flight. Anyway, especially during
They may or may not. Sorry, they may or may not exactly reference what you're talking about in this document. Spoilers.
Yep, especially during critical phases such as descent and landing on the lunar surface. If there are issues with the automated guidance system, such as failures or unexpected performance, manual control enables the protection of the crew and mission. Notably, of the Apollo program's 7 planned crewed lunar landings, astronauts engaged the backup manual control method during every single mission.
Wow, I didn't realize it was all of them.
I think they just wanted to say that they landed on the moon with manual. I mean, Neil probably did it because he had to.
Okay, fair enough.
Right?
I don't blame him.
You think about guys like John Young and Charlie Duke, they're probably like, nah, I'm not. I ain't letting no computer land me on the surface. Screw that. Give me control of this thing. Yeah, guys, the thing's broken again. You know.
Yeah.
All right. More recently, I actually didn't know that they were all manual control. I really didn't know. Anyway,
Same.
More recently, the crew of Boeing Starliner flight test demonstrated what?
No, Starliner.
Oh, yeah.
I have to laugh every time I hear the word Starliner.
The crew of Boeing Starliner flight test demonstrated the importance of spacecraft manual control in June of 2024, when manual control was the only way to maintain the position and attitude of the vehicle on its approach to the ISS after multiple thruster failures. Ultimately, what is that?
Contravening?
Contravening. Okay. Contravening the manual control requirement could adversely impact the crew's ability to intervene, potentially leading to the loss of the crew or mission. Out of order? Even in the future, nothing works. Put a lander inside the lander to land on the moon from the elevator. I like the way you think, Max. This disagreement between NASA and SpaceX on whether the provider's current proposed approach for landing meets the intent of the agency's manual control requirement. Despite the provider's stated an acknowledged commitment to meeting this requirement, NASA's tracking of SpaceX's manual control risk indicates a worsened trend. If NASA and SpaceX do not reach a concrete solution prior to the critical design review, it may lock in automation as the only available landing method or result in significant late design changes and increased schedule risk. In our judgment, this further increases the potential that SpaceX could request a waiver to the manual control requirement to meet schedule.
Oh my god.
Whoa.
So there's something we didn't know about SpaceX's plans, that they want no manual control option.
Yeah, we
didn't know that before.
Yeah. Now, okay. All right. I am having a visceral response to that in the form of, that's not great. But also at the same time, vertically landing things on celestial bodies is kind of their thing. So also, like Sawyer, I said it to you once, I'll say it again. I don't mind if SpaceX wants to do that. I would want multiple test landings, multiple HLS landings before I put people on it. The only way that Falcon 9 got super safe, risking landing and everything, is by flight data. So if you want to do an automated landing, go ahead. But I think the OIG, like, you're going to need to do multiple landings. I think the OIG is arguing that poses a schedule risk. Because...
But spoiler alert, they also addressed that coming up a bit too.
Oh. Trey,
they had the same thought as you. We're all thinking the same thing, and OIG is going, yeah, about that.
Yeah. Trey, you're saying, then again, I wouldn't trust people to land a 14-story building without going over the 8-degree incline. I would want a relative navigation system in the loop, like what landed Perseverance. I would want either a relative navigation thing that plots a landing zone for somebody to take manual control and land, or a relative navigation system that does it itself. Yeah, I LiDAR would work, Sawyer, but once again, regolith's going to get in the way.
Right. Yeah, the dust that thing's going to kick up.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, man.
Yeah. NASA, under the Commercial Crew Program, granted a similar manual control waiver to SpaceX for its Dragon spacecraft, which transports crew members to the ISS. This decision was due in part to Dragon's prior flight history transporting cargo to the station. However, Starship will not have the same level of proven flight heritage in an actual operating environment for its crewed lunar missions. Incorporating this system capability is a key element of HLS's human rating certification and part of an essential crew survival strategy. Key decisions on Blue Origin's manual control design have yet to be made. Oh, that's even worse.
Well, it sounds like they don't even know what they're going to do for that yet.
Yeah, they haven't fleshed it out. Oof.
Well, they really only got the go to actually proceed with this. What was it, 2023 when they got Artemis 5? And they figured, we have until Artemis 5, which is going to be this, third lunar landing.
Yep. Yeah. Ravjen, just let us cook. Hey guys, welcome back to the Boeing YouTube channel. Joe Barnard. That's pretty funny, man. Yeah. As of November 2025, neither provider had requested a waiver to the manual control requirement. Huh. Yeah, they did demonstrate manual override with DM2, though, in 2020, I thought. They definitely did. I remember Bob and Doug doing it. Bob and Doug flew Dragon around for RPOD. Not the
right. I mean, they literally had an entire game on their website where you could practice doing the same thing.
Yeah.
But also, that was a demonstration mission. Now that they are onto their 12th operational ISS flight, not including all of their commercial flights they've already done, I guess they get the waiver for that.
That game was tough, Strick. I docked on the second try. So I got it on my second try because I played way too much KSP.
I had to go back to my old Space Shuttle mission 2007 days.
Center.
Yep. Exactly.
Center. Shuttle had to do manual docking, guys. Yeah.
They're still making a version 2 of it.
Really?
As they have been for the last 10 years, but at least there's progress on it.
Nervous Twitch, what are you saying? Jared requested a manual piloting period for one or both of his missions. Oh, okay. Interesting. Play SSM 2007, Big Zig. I think about it.
That was so good.
Mm-hmm. I mean, I just made one in KSP and I use that, and then I can do whatever I want with it.
As opposed to actual STS 130 deliver the cupola.
Yeah, that's cool too. But yeah, Joe, they did approve for the manual flight control things. Nervous is right. Yeah, interesting.
Speaking of, we were talking about the LiDAR and the Plume. Yeah. I guess they looked at it too.
Okay, lunar plume surface interaction. The interaction between HLS's rocket engines, exhaust plumes, and the lunar surface can impact precision landings and negatively affect landing navigation sensor performance. As the descent continues, the interaction becomes increasingly more complex, with the plumes vigorously kicking up lunar dust, soil, and rocks. For instance, the Apollo missions experienced regolith ejections that obscured views of the landing site during final approach and touchdown. The HLS program is actively pursuing risk reduction activities related to the new lander's plume surface interactions. Current models rely on Apollo flight reconstructions. I don't know, maybe if we just did more of those, we'd understand this better. However, without direct HLS measurements, the predictions are largely uncertain. For instance, potential risks can vary with the lander's configuration, operations concept, and specific landing site. Both SpaceX and Blue Origin utilize single-stage HLS designs, meaning they share the same vehicle to descend to the moon's surface and ascend back to orbit. Further, HLS vehicles are significantly larger in size than the dual-stage lunar modules flown during the Apollo missions, likely resulting in different induced hazards. Dan, what is your guess for a safe distance between lunar landing touchdown areas to provide safe enough distance to avoid damaging from landing burns? Remind me of a bead blaster. Dude, yeah, so anything that's in the vicinity of something that's coming down, the regolith ejecta from something landing would be like media blasting something. Lunar regolith, so lunar dirt, is extremely fine. Think like talcum powder or something. So media blasting. It would be like if you were media blasting a part in an auto shop with like baking soda or something. That is what it does. So,
with like pieces of glass in it.
Yeah, it also has glass in it. Yeah, it's like if you ground up glass and mixed it in with baby powder, and it is a problem. That is something you are absolutely going to have to deal with. Yeah. Now, once again, just like GAO is saying, the lander, the Apollo LEM didn't have to deal with that. Who cares? Your ascent engine is on top. Like, it's on top. The ascent module's on top. The two-stage variant, like the descent module, turns into your launch pad, so you don't need to worry about that. And I for what it's worth, guys, I still think, dude, they broke the mold with the LEM. That's one of the best things we've ever made, ever. Period. Full stop. Like, it's, Grumman made it. Grumman made that, and then they made the F-14, and then they made a mail van. Yeah. Seriously, the post vans in the United States, it's Grumman. They got the mail van contract the same time as they got the F-14 contract. I'm not even kidding.
And of course, of the two, we all know the mail van is better.
Hey, the Grumman LLV, dude. Okay, all right. Little bit of car facts. That is a Chevy S10 with a riveted aluminum chassis on it for better fuel economy. Some of those mail vans have like 600, 700,000, almost 1 million miles on them, and they're still going. So Grumman called it an LLV, the long life vehicle. They weren't kidding when they named it that.
Ironic as we now talk about LLVs, lunar landing vehicles.
Right? Can we all just agree to hate the new mail van? Yes, the NGPV is terrible. I don't know why Oshkosh would. Slight tangent here, Sawyer. You want to hear something funny? Not only is that post van ugly as hell, okay, but to the procurement contract for the next generation postal van calls for initially all of the 10,000 post vans to have like a diesel engine in it. That's fair. Diesel engine. But to meet green initiatives, what's going to happen is after 10,000 of these have been delivered, Oshkosh will start taking them back from the postal service and retrofitting them with electric vehicle components.
What?
And then producing that instead.
So is it going to be a hybrid, or they're going to put it out as diesel and then convert them all to full electric?
Convert them to full electric. I
will
believe that when my poop turns purple and smells like rainbow sherbet. Okay? I will believe that will happen when that happens.
Don't say that. I've taken medications that do that.
Oh, crap. That means it's going to happen. Oh. I'll believe that when me poop turns purple and smells like rainbow sherbet. Pooperl. I'm sure there's a product on Amazon to do that. Jeff is on. In 2026, it's North Slop Grumman. Hey, man. The B-20... Hey, you can say whatever you want about Northrop Grumman. Their SRB program is struggling a little bit, but the B-21 Raider was under cost and ahead of schedule, and they just ordered more. So you can say whatever you want about that They could make airplanes. They're still good at that. But think about buying those engines off government auction. Now that's a good idea.
Yeah, there you go.
Eat lots of blueberries.
Snozberries taste like snozberries.
Yeah, but blueberries are blue though. You know, like what fruit is there? Are there any purple fruits? Dragon fruit, I guess.
That's pink.
Yeah. Max,
So
why
maybe eat blueberries and dragon fruit?
Grapes. Yeah.
But the insides are green.
Banana.
For scale. Anyway.
So Max, you're saying, why did SpaceX even take the HLS contract knowing the risk? Well, from this OIG report, Max, it seems like they don't think it's a big deal. The diesel engines in the new mail trucks are having high turbo failures. Oh no! Anyway. Oh no!
Thanks, Jeremy Clarkson. Anyway.
Oh no! Anyway.
So about this moon rocket.
All right, what do we got? The HLS program is actively pursuing risk reduction activities related to the new lander's Plume surface interactions. Current models rely on Apollo flight reconstructions. However, without direct HLS measurements, the predictions are largely uncertain. For instance, potential risks can vary with the lander's configuration, operations concept, and specific landing site. Both SpaceX and Blue Origin utilize single-stage... Okay, we already read that. All right, cool. Let's keep going. Addressing the risk associated with lunar plume surface interaction requires validation and model improvements. Towards that end, the agency is conducting ground testing to gather data. Yeah, but you're using the wrong ground. That's the problem.
Oh, they were aware of that.
Yeah. Additionally, as part of its Commercial Lunar Payload Services initiative, NASA installed the stereo cameras for lunar plume surface studies instrument on the Blue Ghost lander. Yeah, Firefly. All right. The instrument captured around 3,000 high-resolution images during Blue Ghost's descent and landing in March of 2025. These pictures will aid in the creation of models to predict lunar regolith erosion. SpaceX is also planning to add instrumentation to its uncrewed demonstration missions vehicle to build interaction models that will include raw images as well as vehicle calibration and data. What else we got?
Yay, SpaceX.
Blue Origin's uncrewed demonstration mission will further measure plume surface interactions to aid in the development of precision landing sensors. Okay, so more uncrewed landings from either one is probably what's needed at this point. You know, so seeing this, it makes Jared Isaacman's decision to switch the next Artemis mission to a like an Apollo 9-esque low Earth orbit lunar lander testing rendezvous, etc. It makes a lot more sense. It makes way more sense, actually. Yeah, that's and I would like to add, on a flame trench like a year ago, you said test SLS in low Earth orbit, and I called you a schmuck for it. Well, I was wrong.
Yep.
You called that right. You were right on the money there. Do you remember that?
I do remember that.
Yeah, no, you were right.
Everyone thought it was ridiculous for that. Why did you use such a powerful rocket just to go into low Earth orbit at that point? Well,
no, good for you.
I want you to bring that up Friday so I can officially get an I told you so.
No, that's fair. It's totally justified. I said you were nuts. My bad.
Yeah, but also it's also interesting now to see how many HLS vehicles we're going to see. So is the HLS vehicle that they're going to use in low Earth orbit just for testing and docking and systems? It's the same one that they're going to use for their uncrewed lunar landing test now.
I actually talked about that when Jared Isaacman first kind of proposed this architecture. Yeah. Actually, that's what I would do. You get an HLS up there. You have people test out the life support systems. You have people test out manual control, rendezvous proximity operations, stuff like that, right? I mean, RPOD will be demonstrated when people get to it. But have your crew stay up there, do a month duration on Starship, or just a month dock to the lander to get to just shake down everything, make sure everything works. You don't need fuel in the tanks to do that. right? SpaceX doesn't need to do on-orbit refueling, right? They can just send an HLS up there, and then later they can use that HLS to test on-orbit refueling and also do their uncrewed landing demonstration. Blue could do the same thing with Newglen's. Smart. It's a really good idea, dude.
Yeah. But will they test like you fly?
Yeah, we'll see. So, next bit. NASA is not adhering to the test like you fly principles for the HLS uncrewed flight demonstrations. Uh-oh. Any information on HLS thrusters for landing? I haven't seen anything in here, Max, but I'll look. SpaceX and Blue Origin are conducting uncrewed demonstration missions of their landers. However, these tests will not be in configurations fully representative of their planned crewed vehicles. NASA performs key risk reduction activities by requiring providers to conduct ground testing and flight demonstrations. Demonstrating a vehicle in a flight-like configuration, known as test as you fly, is a key risk reduction activity that helps minimize the likelihood of mission failures by identifying and correcting hardware, software, and mission design flaws before systems development. We'll see it. We'll see, Trey. Let me read. Test Like You Fly calls for the configuration of a tested system to be as close to practical in its final operational configuration. Additionally, the evaluation should occur as near as possible to the expected operational environment using the final processes and procedures in which the integrated system will operate. Test Like You Fly encompasses both system-to-system testing as well as end-to-end testing of the complete operational system. As a result, tests and simulations should accurately reflect the planned mission profile. To test like you fly, the HLS program examines the applicable mission and flight characteristics to determine the extent they can apply them on the ground, including through a combination of testing and analysis. When ground testing is not possible, flight testing can serve as an acceptable mitigation. Yeah. Yeah, the context of that statement is like re-entry, for instance. You can't test for re-entry on the ground. That's why SpaceX was adamant about getting a Block 2 to make it through re-entry, and why they were doing all these tile experiments on Starship during that time.
Even though you were just showing the sled that basically simulated re-entry heating.
It's more for hypersonic missiles, but, you know, I said it once, I'll say it again. Testing at that scale, I'd rather use an arc jet. That would give you a higher fidelity flight re-entry, but even you can't test the arc jet on a 14-story building worth of lander, you know?
True. And everything goes well when you do that with, say, I don't know, the Artemis 1 heat shield, where you think you do all the testing on the ground, and then you get to it and go, hey, this kind of is breaking up.
Yeah, the charring and spalling. I still have thoughts about that, but I don't want to cast bad juju on the Artemis 2 mission, because even if there is a problem, I can't do anything about it. So, all right.
So that's what this is reminding me of, just seeing that.
Mm-hmm. Let's see. Question: during the first HLS moon landing test, could they put an Optimus robot as a crew test dummy? I mean, yeah, sure.
Wouldn't put it past SpaceX.
Yeah, that'd actually be a really good idea. Put one in the spacesuit. Serious. Put one in a spacesuit. Why not?
We had Ripley on DM1.
Yeah. Right now, they use what's called an anthropomorphic test dummy. It's basically a crash test dummy. It's the same instrumented simulated meat bag that they use in car crash tests. Yeah, they because they have sensors all over them that detect what's called shock. Because you and I are basically a gigantic water balloon, and it tests shock, acceleration, and deceleration. Those test devices are instrumented for that. The reason why shock is like quick deceleration, like a car crash, or quick acceleration, like a rocket ascending up into space, right? And yeah, you can pop the water balloon. Yeah, you're a giant ball, like bag of water. If it pops, you're gonna have not a good time. Yeah, that's why they test shock, acceleration, and deceleration, like quick changes in decel and excel. Nah, I'm a beer balloon. Yeah, I mean, me too. Me too. Conan. The president after Optimus gets stranded on the moon. Our heroes are epic men
Discovery,
of
go
nuts
throttle
and bolts. Epic men of nuts and bolts. They have many nuts and many bolts. It's like they're made from metal or something. I don't know. Wait, it's a robot? Yeah, that's fair. I can see that.
Oh my gosh.
There's 27-month resub. Thank you. Sorry. It's just an impression. Just having a little fun. All right. While HLS program officials believe the program is following agency guidance on Test Like You Fly, we found key missed opportunities to apply these principles to the uncrewed demonstration missions. For these missions, NASA required the providers to demonstrate precision landing on the lunar surface, transmit the lander's state of the health for 2 hours after landing, and subsequently ascend from the lunar surface. The agency, however, did not require demonstration of crew systems such as ECLIS, environmental control and life support systems, airlocks, or the elevator. Why?
That's what?
Why would someone do that?
Isn't that gonna change things? Because if you don't have the ECLIS, if you don't have the airlocks, you don't have the elevator, if you remove all that, that's mass that's being removed too.
Trey, what are you linking to me? From SpaceX's update from October 2025. While many of SpaceX's remaining HLS contract milestones are tied to flight tests, such as ship-to-ship propellant transfer demonstration, SpaceX has started fabricating a flight article Starship HLS cabin that will include functional avionics, power systems, crew systems and mechanisms, environmental control and life support systems, cabin and crew communication systems, and a cabin thermal control system. This flight-capable cabin will enable engineers to demonstrate the high design maturity of the various systems required to support a human landing on the moon. Well,
where are they testing that?
yeah, that's what the OIG's beef is with here, Trey. It sounds like the uncrewed landing demonstration is not going to have that you just said on it.
Yeah, they want to test that. That sounds like Earth-based test, not, hey, we're 250,000 miles away on the lunar surface at a random angle in the southern pole of the moon, trying to be able to use all of these systems.
It's flight capable, though. They could fly it.
Could and will is, I think, the key words, though.
Yeah, that's what the OIG is making a fuss about, Trey. Basically, the OIG is saying, cool, take that and fly it, please. And SpaceX is like, well, I don't know if we should. And NASA's like, hey, what are we doing? All right. The exclusion of systems means the weight of the test vehicles will not be representative of the crewed mission vehicles. This in turn reduces the number of propellant tanker flights required to support the demonstrations. That's why they're doing it. There's your problem. So they can be expedient.
But that's the thing. If you and I sitting here can come up with this just, BSing and coming up with concepts, how come teams that are entirely devoted to figuring this out didn't think that that might be a good idea?
Yeah. Dude, I don't know. I mean, like I said, this is not necessarily a critique of. Remember, it's not necessarily a critique of SpaceX or Blue Origin. This is a critique of NASA's management. So, like Trey, in the context, it doesn't necessarily say that. Okay, SpaceX. It's not that SpaceX doesn't want to test, a full-blown HLS on the moon. It's that they said that they weren't, and NASA was like, yeah, that's fine. Okay. That's what this paper is about. It's not necessarily about the methodology as to what SpaceX and Blue are doing with their systems. This paper is critiquing NASA being like, yeah, that's fine, man. Do whatever. Just go with what you feel. It's good.
Yeah. That's what it comes down to. It's SpaceX has their own opinions, which is fine. But when it's as they flat out said in the beginning, they are the oversight of all of this. It's NASA spending money to get these landers so they don't have to make them themselves. And if NASA's putting money into it, they want to say.
Yeah. Got it. So SpaceX could be doing it, but NASA management is kind of crappy.
Pretty much.
So Trey, all right, I'll cut to the chase here with this, guys. So Trey, you know, when Jared Isaacman, you know what he's been saying about NASA's skills have been atrophying, right? Because they farm everything out to contractors nowadays, and not many people work for NASA. And he wants to bring that technological expertise back in house. I'll bet you Rook looked at this OIG report, because NASA gets to look at OIG reports before, like months before they come out to the public, because they have to agree or disagree with them, right? And only after they've agreed or disagreed on certain points will the OIG release the report. I'll bet you Rook saw this sometime in late December and went, what the actual frick? Or, you know, in preparation for his role after his first confirmation before it got pulled, probably saw this or something. This is what he means. Remember, this is a critique of the management. This is the people running the HLS program for NASA, not necessarily SpaceX or Blue. This report's pretty damning in that I don't think anybody running this program actually gives a frick about landing people on the moon. It certainly seems like that.
It's worth noting, the NASA response, by the way, is included later on. Mm-hmm. It was written by Dr. Lori Glaze. So
I'm very interested in her thoughts. Lori Glaze runs the Artemis program for NASA. Okay, this in turn reduces the number of propellant tanker flights required to support the demonstration Starship landing. Therefore, end-to-end propellant aggregation will not only be full flight tested prior to the first crewed missions. Hang on. This in turn reduces the number of propellant tanker flights required to support the demonstrations. Therefore, end-to-end propellant aggregation will not be fully flight tested prior to the first crewed missions. Likewise, in our judgment, not including an elevator on Starship's uncrewed demonstration mission eliminates the opportunity to test its ability to operate in the actual lunar environment under possible surface tilt conditions. Rarest, you're asking, do you think this is one of the reasons Rook put Steve Stitch on the HLS program? Yes, I do, actually. That makes a lot more sense in this context. Sorry, did you hear about that?
No, I didn't. Oh, yes, I think I did, actually.
Steve Stitch, he was managing the commercial crew program. They moved him.
Yeah, he was reassigned, I think, after the Boeing report and went here, right? Was that it?
Yeah, he moved him to HLS, and Joel Montalbano took his position at NASA.
Yeah.
And he's running the HLS program now. Originally I thought that was because of the Type A mishap. No, now that seems more like just a coincidence. Steve can run a program. He's done really good in the commercial crew program. Arguably one of the best NASA programs one of the best programs that NASA has. And you know what? Like Sawyer, now that I'm really thinking about it, during that whole the Starliner CFT fiasco, he was very straightforward about what was going on. Like he wasn't like, oh, I don't know. Like he was like, no, this is what happened and we had to fix it and this is how we fixed it, right? So that actually makes that Rarest. That's a really good point, dude. If I was a betting man, that's what I would bet is going on.
Good. That's really a good catch.
Yeah. Good. Yeah, that was good, man. Okay. Additionally, although some systems require crew member presence to fully function during a lunar mission, NASA will be unable to observe the impact of operational sequences and the lunar environment on the equipment itself prior to the first crewed Starship and Blue Moon flights. For example, NASA is forfeiting the opportunity to examine the effects of lunar dust on the ECLIS components. As experienced during the Apollo era, dust can degrade a system's performance by adhering to seals and clogging filters. NASA officially told us the decision to exclude ECLIS was a careful choice based on risk, cost, and schedule. Okay. So
why do you want to bet that? What do you want to bet that's not the exact order that they had their priorities in? I think it's you go backwards.
Yeah, schedule, cost, and then risk. Yeah, emphasis on schedule. Lava Eagle, still, even if it is mainly NASA management that have let these things go through, I assume it was SpaceX who initially proposed them. So both parties are kind of at fault. Lava Eagle, you've been here for a good while. I've always said that it's not entirely the contractor's fault for doing this kind of stuff. NASA not holding their feet to the fire is arguably one of the reasons why the Starliner program is in what it is in the situation that it's in, because NASA's just like, all right, Boeing had a whole proposal, and their proposal seemed sound until it wasn't, and NASA accepted it because they were like, oh, you guys know what you're doing, you're fine. No, wrong.
Yeah.
It's not just it. NASA can say, no, that's a dumb idea. Let's not do this. But they don't. They always bend over backwards for contractors. And they've been doing that basically going back even well into the shuttle program. That's what that whole Starliner thing is all about.
And here's the other thing to keep in mind, too, is the fact that these programs are so far along now that we're seeing, like with Starliner, seeing the thruster issues, seeing all of the other issues with the doghouses, things like that. That's not something you can easily change because that is built into the system, and that should have been either caught or corrected or looked at years and years ago. Same thing with HLS. Starship is already on version 3. If there were other issues with Starship and its cabin and HLS and things like that, these are things that NASA should have gone right up to SpaceX and said, hey, these are things you should be worrying about now, not after we're already on the 3rd version of Starship.
Yeah. Woof. All right. To further define the dust environment, the HLS program is conducting 2 ground tests in fiscal year 2026. A primary obstacle to executing flight-like tests on the ground, however, is that many spaceflight attributes are impossible to recreate on Earth. Yeah, like I said,
we were just talking about that.
The wrong ground. You can test it out in the desert as many times as you want. That's not the same.
Or just leave monoprop in tanks out in the desert. That's fine.
Yeah, that worked.
Sorry, had to bring it up.
Dude, what a nightmare. For example, during the Artemis 1 flight test, Orion's heat shield experienced unexpected material loss during re-entry into Earth's atmosphere. Oh boy. Despite extensive ground testing prior to the mission, this issue did not fully reveal itself until the vehicle experienced the extreme heat of re-entry, a flight condition that cannot be adequately replicated on Earth. Curious. The lander's ability to lift off and ascend from the lunar surface is also essential for crew survival, as the ascent phase contains some of the highest risk events. Oh.
That feels like a no-duh moment, but yeah.
Once the crew completes the mission on the lunar surface, they prepare for ascent by performing required vehicle configuration and system checkouts prior to using the HLS to return to the orbiting Orion or gateway in rectilinear halo. All right. Orion. To Orion. The ascent phase begins with liftoff from the lunar surface, continues through the time spent loitering in low lunar orbit, and ends when the lander enters rectilinear halo orbit. Ascending from the surface of the moon will kick up debris that could damage the vehicle or its engines. The engines could fail to ignite, or the propellant burns needed to return to rectilinear halo orbit could malfunction. Just for reference here, guys, a rectilinear halo orbit, so the orbit that they wanted gateway in, is a very eccentric orbit with the apoloon near escape velocity altitude. So, like, it's almost out of the lunar gravwell, and perihelion, closest point, like, I don't know, maybe less than 100 kilometers off the surface. It is a very eccentric, higher orbit at times, and you need enough delta V to escape the moon's gravity to get to it. That's part of the reason why NASA accepted Starship's proposal, because Starship is big enough to do that and move stuff down to the lunar surface that is actually of use. That's why. So if you think like, Starship's too big, well, that was one of the driving reasons. What they didn't really take into account is that the thrusters on Gateway weren't enough to keep Starship in the right orbit. Starship is too big, yeah, for Gateway. So, oops. Although NASA did not initially require ascent tests in its contracts with the providers, to the agency's credit, these tests were added later. However, the agency still did not require the providers to demonstrate an end-to-end ascent, return, and docking with either Orion or Gateway in rectilinear halo orbit. SpaceX's ascent test will include lifting off the lunar surface and relighting of the Raptor engines. This brief engine relight is critical for demonstrating main stage combustion to buy down risk for the crew ascent and observing the lunar Plume surface interaction with the engines. Blue Origin's ascent test will include lifting off from the lunar surface as well as an ascent to either low lunar orbit or rectilinear halo. Hey, Alleviate, what's up, man? SpaceX is just doing a Raptor relight.
That's wild.
Huh.
I mean, I guess it's a good thing, but obviously, I'm glad they added hey, we should probably test getting off the moon. But yeah, then the whole, hey, we still have to rendezvous again with Orion. So how are we going to test that? Well, we'll fire up a Raptor. Not more than that. No, just fire a Raptor. It's fine.
Yeah.
Being exposed to the literal lunar regolith underneath it for all of that time.
Interesting. Lava Eagle, what do you got? Another funny thing is that rectilinear halo orbit is actually adding velocity in a direction perpendicular to what is needed for the cheapest ejection angle for trans-Earth injection. Yeah, I understand what you're saying, because it stays anti-normal to Earth. Yeah, it stays coplanar anti-normal in its orbit. So yeah, that's long story short. If Earth is here and the moon is here, the rectilinear halo orbit goes like this. The problem is you need to go that way to get to Earth. So yeah, that's a funny point. Yeah, I didn't really think of that.
Apparently neither did NASA. This is the part that scares me. I did read this one in full because it the headline piqued my interest. So this is very interesting, and I'm interested to see everyone's reactions to this.
You want to read this one?
You got it, because you've got it up on your screen. There's a delay with mine, so go for it.
Okay. NASA's crew survival analysis limited by functional restrictions and resource considerations. Okay. Crew survival analyses are tools employed by NASA to capture the survival posture of any given Artemis mission. The HLS program uses the crew survival analysis process to evaluate available survival capabilities that can effectively counter a catastrophic event, such as a fire, and provide crew members an opportunity to reach a safe state or place. See, that right there, just real quick, Carrot, that's always been my criticism of Gateway. I don't, if you want to do that, that's fine. I don't think NASA is. But the problem here is that, like with Apollo, the ascent module certainly is your only way to get back to the CSM, right? And that certainly is a risk, but it's a much bigger risk if Orion can't go any lower than rectilinear halo orbit. You have a much longer transit time coming up from the surface to get back to Gateway and then get to Orion and then get home. If there is an emergency, Orion not being able to get into low lunar and do a trans-Earth injection burn on the fly, it is really dangerous. And that's actually really, I'm really happy. I'm wondering if they say that here, but anyway. If the analysis reveals there is no confirmed capabilities to safely extract astronauts from the immediate hazard, then crew survival gap exists. Yeah, we know about those, Sawyer. Survival gaps, particularly.
Yeah, thanks for reminding me.
Yeah, in ascent corridors. That's weird.
If left 2 minutes and 5 seconds of not being able to get out of something, no.
Yeah, no, it's fine. If left unaddressed, these scenarios will result in the loss of the crew. Once a crew's survival gap is identified, the HLS program may choose to accept risk or generate a decision package for elevation through the Moon to Mars program office. Decision packages are the mechanisms used to identify recommendations for new or enhanced capabilities that improve the likelihood of crew survival. They assist Moon to Mars program office leadership in making risk-informed decisions on the inclusion or exclusion of these capabilities, as well as in the acceptance of any residual risk. They could use the Starship as the gateway then. Yeah, there you go. The intent of the cruise... Yeah, right, yeah. The intent of the cruise survival analysis process is to influence requirements and designs early enough in the vehicle's development to have the greatest impact on crew survival. However, there are limitations due to the functional constraints and availability of resources. For example, because the analysis is typically mature later in the design cycle, the decision packages are limited to capturing resultant risks rather than preemptively driving risk reduction. As a result, the lander design may be too advanced to institute meaningful change or require significant impact to the schedule. Moreover, funds may already be depleted. Additionally, crew survival analysis are limited to considering a single catastrophic event at a time and do not address the occurrence of multiple simultaneous events.
What?
Okay. This logic assumes that when the crew is safe from the catastrophic event, all systems will perform normally to return to their safety after the initial incident. Who did this? What is wrong with you? No.
Yeah. By the way, remember what I was saying earlier? Hey, maybe they should probably come up with these, catch these issues earlier and implement them earlier in the design process. Well, obviously they agree with that, but yeah. Hey, we had one failure, because we've never seen it where one failure, I don't know, say stirring a cryo tank, an explosion leads to a failure, followed by failure, followed by failure, followed by failure, where you have to then basically get down the power of your entire vehicle into that much of a hairdryer and camp out inside a lunar landing vehicle that was never meant to house more than 2 people.
Yeah. Another thing I
Never
could think,
happened.
yeah, no. Another thing I could think of is, SRB blowby. You launch it, and it's SRB blowby isn't going to blow up the vehicle unless it's in the right conditions. Not just because you have SRB blowby doesn't mean every other system is operating correctly.
Yeah, that part is just, it irks me so much.
Yeah. Guys, like I said, this is what I mean. This is not a criticism of SpaceX or Blue. This is very much a criticism of the people running the HLS program. Rarest, I'm going to mention that on Flame Trench. Dude, this explains Steve Stitch moving to HLS more than anything. That's a good move by Jared to do something like that, because whoever's running this program does not understand what's going on. Yeah, I could already tell you that whoever's running this person is not taking their job seriously at all. Wow. That's arguably awful analysis. But anyway, the analysis also do not account for extended crew survival once the immediate threat is over, since the crew may be in a compromised situation for several days. Yeah, it's like what you were talking about, Sawyer. That's it. Yeah. Yeah, Strickland,
It gets worse.
What would you say you do here? It gets worse? Oh, jeez.
Well, no, I'm just saying that alone there means it gets much worse.
Oh, yeah, okay, yeah.
Yeah, so cool, you get out of it safely, but now what? You're stuck. Hey, remember about the ability, to launch another shuttle if something went wrong after Columbia? STS-125, STS-400?
Yep.
With Artemis, the current pace that SLS is at, that's totally doable. Not.
Yeah, this also explains the Block 1S. The standardized Block 1 configuration, Sawyer, makes a lot more sense in this context, from reducing risk for the first couple of initial landings. Yeah. That makes way more sense now, actually. It's not, if you think about this from a crew safety standpoint, having SLS work reliably and being able to mass produce it is much more important than it having a better upper stage. That's something I really didn't consider. But yeah, having an STS 400 contingency for SLS is probably a good idea. Meaning, guys, that if a shuttle, so back in the day, actually, sorry, you want to explain STS 400?
Yeah, basically, so when Atlantis launched on STS-125, which was the final Hubble servicing repair mission, they also had Endeavour out at 39B. They hoped to never have to launch it, but the plan was that if something were to go wrong, they didn't have the International Space Station to be able to rendezvous with, hang there for 30 to 60 days or whatever until a vehicle could come up, gather them, and bring them home. There was no safety net that they could go to. So what they had was an entire contingency plan where if they got stuck or there was damage to the tiles that made it unsafe for them to return, Endeavour would launch. It would have a robotic arm to robotic arm connection where they would basically hook onto each other. They would use tethers to string themselves along the arms and spacewalk from one orbiter to the other, leaving the other one in space damaged and getting back in one that hopefully isn't damaged.
Mm-hmm. Yep, there's a picture of STS-400 right there. And it's one of the gnarliest pictures from the shuttle program. It goes so freaking hard.
Yep.
I love that picture, dude.
So cool. I'm also glad it didn't have to happen. But if you look at the documentation for it and how they would have to connect everything, literally they calculated the exact order of which astronauts would have to go over at which times, because then you'd have to send people back and then go back again. And how are you going to fit? I think there would just be a crew of 2 for Endeavour, so fit 9 people into the orbiter.
Jeez.
Yeah.
Driados is asking, can they launch a Dragon on Falcon Heavy for some of the contingencies? Dragon's not really rated for beyond low Earth orbit activity, guys. That's a different environment, dude.
Falcon Heavy is not crew rated.
Yeah, Falcon Heavy is also Falcon Heavy is not human rated. Yeah. All systems 101 month resub. Thank you. Yeah, honestly, guys, like STS-400 should have been the case since the start of the damn shuttle program. Like that, I would have always tried to have a shuttle teed up and ready to go just in case. Like that's yeah. Falcon Heavy's not rated until the USDV launches. What? Nervous? What do you mean?
Didn't think that had to be crew rated because it's a specifically designed vehicle for deorbiting. And it's not going to have people on it, it's my understanding.
The deorbit vehicle's launching on a Falcon Heavy?
Yes, it is. I thought you knew that.
Yeah. Yeah, no, that makes sense. Wait. No, Nervous. What I'm getting? No, I knew it was launching a Falcon Heavy. What I'm getting is that Falcon Heavy needs a human rating to fly the USDV. Is that what I'm hearing?
It shouldn't. Because there's no people on it.
Oh no. Oh, okay. All right. I was like, dude, no way. That'd be pretty sick, though. I mean, dude, if something like the USDV would be great for if you need to get away, if you need to get something out to the moon in a pinch. But from what Sarah Walker, I think her name is, from what she was, I think her name's Sarah Walker, I forget. From what she was saying, it sounds like the USDV was more of a one-off bespoke type thing. But honestly, if SpaceX wants to make more of those and use those as like a gateway logistics or, you know, some type of Orion low lunar resupply vehicle, I ain't gonna complain, dude. Deorbit vehicle, the USDV, Yarg. It's a highly modified Dragon with a service module attached to the back that's designed to deorbit the ISS. Dude, that thing has an insane amount of delta V by itself. It only has about 50 meters a second delta V when it's attached to the ISS for deorbiting operations. The ISS, for instance, is adding 400 tons of dry mass to your rocket equation. So if you think just say the, United States deorbit vehicle, so this modified Dragon with a service module has a mass of probably, 30 tons. right? 430 tons. If you back solve the delta V equation, right, to get you 50 meters a second with 430 ton dry mass, right? That tells me that the USDV with Orion, like not Orion, the USDVs it could get to low lunar. It could get to low lunar on a Falcon Heavy. Yeah, uncrewed, but it could do it. Yeah, that my theory, Nova One, is that the USDV is Dragon XL, but I don't know for sure. I can't prove that. But then again, what's the point of Dragon XL in the first place if Gateway doesn't exist? But then again, sorry, Sawyer, I'm theory crafting here. But then again, you could always repurpose Gateway. Gateway on a Falcon Heavy could go to low lunar. It should be fine. I mean, if you decoupled the habitation logistics outputs and went back to co-manifested missions with SLS, you could do that. Or you just have Falcon Heavy move the PPE in one shot, and then I don't know how you'd move the habitation and logistics outposts from there, but yeah, that wouldn't work. What would orbit stability be in low lunar? You would need something with propulsion, Zelencio. Low lunar is not a stable resonant orbit. The lunar has non-uniform. The moon has non-uniform gravitational pull. It has huge precession, and you can actually get decaying orbits on the moon in real life. That's what happened to most of the ascent modules from the Apollo program. They crashed on the surface of the moon somewhere after people left, after people got out of them. One of them is still around. It's in deep space somewhere. We have no idea where that is. Snoopy. True story.
Oh, yeah. The search for Apollo 10.
Yep, the Apollo 10 ascent module is the only flown ascent module with people on board that survived. It is somewhere orbiting around the sun. It's probably long gone by now.
There was a whole campaign like 10 or 20 years ago to find Snoopy. It was really interesting. If you look it up, there was a whole campaign about it. It's a cool story.
Neat. Are you telling me to set up a USDV whenever Orion launches to bring it back from the moon if the engine fails? No, but that's actually not the stupidest thing I've heard of, Levern. That's it's not a bad idea. All right.
Back to their guesstimate on the risk of loss of crew.
Yeah, I don't know, all systems. It remains to be seen. I have a guess that this report was given out before they decided to shake things up with the HLS program, so who knows. Hey, DNA2 Mars! Becoming a member, becoming a flight controller at the Eric Johnson Space Administration. Thanks, buddy. Right on. Let's see. Given that many HLS decisions rely on meeting safety thresholds, the identification of catastrophic hazards and crew survival gaps are crucial, considering the lander as the top loss of crew contributor for the Artemis 3 and 4 lunar missions. Now Artemis 4 and 5, because, yeah, it's changed. These results are based on the risk of failures in Starship's avionics, main engines, lander propulsion, landing legs, and electrical power. Wait, what? The agency's loss of crew threshold is 1 in 40 for lunar operations and 1 in 30 for Artemis missions overall?
That is horrifying.
That's worse than the space shuttle.
The space shuttle ended up 1 in 76 in its final numbers. And that flew 135 times. And it's interesting that it's 1 in 40 for just lunar ops, but the entire missions overall is 1 in 30. So if we go with, like Rook was talking about at the original rollout, all the way up to Artemis 100, that is 3 failures potentially in that, and 2 lunar operation failures. What?
Wow. Okay.
And yet, read the next line. This is what's even scarier.
I'll allow that, Nader, even though it has a curse in it. But yeah, Current estimates for Artemis 3 and 4 show Starship in compliance with the agency's established thresholds. The top loss of crew risk contributors for the Artemis 5 mission are still under development, according to NASA officials.
So that's the Blue Lander one.
Yeah.
But that's the crazy part, is that's the threshold, and SpaceX is within that. So that still means that there is a 1 in 30 chance that there will be a problem with a HLS Lunar Starship mission.
Trey, you're saying, hey, that's 3 times safer than Apollo. Apollo was expected to be 1 in 10, right? Yeah.
I thought it was higher than that. I thought it was like 1 in 20.
Yeah, I think it's higher than that, but yeah. Drew, what do you say? Does NASA, Drew Nar is saying, do NASA astronauts get hazard pay? Yes. For on orbit, yes. Apollo was 1 in 25.
Oh, okay, it's close.
And that's what I mean, dudes. That's very telling. Just because we went to the moon 50 years ago doesn't mean we know how to do it now. That's something I've been saying for a long time. Okay. Further driving survival concerns is the introduction of multiple new systems during the early crewed Artemis missions, including the landers, next-generation spacesuits, Gateway, and elements of Orion. This will be the first time NASA will, 1, have Orion and the lander operate in rectilinear halo orbit, so that's out. Jared axed that plan. 2, dock the landers with Orion or Gateway. That's gone as well. They're doing that in low Earth orbit on the Artemis 3 mission. And 3, land and return humans from the moon's south pole. Yeah, they're doing that on Artemis 4 and 5.
So that one's still a risk. And also just docking the lander with Orion as well. Mm-hmm. It doesn't say necessarily in lunar orbit. It just says docking the landers with Orion.
Yep. Unknown unknowns and underestimated risk are more prevalent with early flights because of the lack of data about how an integrated system behaves in an actual flight environment. Yeah, see? Rook definitely... Jared Isaacman read this. He read this exact thing and said, this is dumb. We're not doing this. This is evidenced by comparing risk estimates to early launch vehicle failures. For example, the Space Shuttle program thought they were operating at a 1 in 100 loss of crew threshold, but years later determined the actual number was about 1 in 10 for the early flights. Similarly, during Apollo, and keep in mind the context of this statement is early in the program, like the first mission. So this is Apollo 8, Apollo 10, Apollo 11. Similarly, during Apollo, the risk of loss of crew was also 1 in 10.
There's the 1 in 10 number, I guess.
1 in 10. 1 in 10. Don't want to land and crash on the moon. One more indecent accident. Sorry.
That's my favorite part of that song.
Yeah. This makes a lot... Jared Isaacman's plans make a lot more sense now. Yeah. This really kind of puts it into perspective.
This is why I wanted to jump on with you, because I glanced over it briefly, but hearing you talk about it, it's like, aha, now things make so much more sense of why.
Yeah. Jeez. Yeah, if this had kept going the way it was going, we probably would have crash landed on the moon in 2029. You know? Like, that wouldn't have been... Okay.
So yeah, about that's the other thing. Just seeing that headline right above your head is also ominous.
Yeah.
Just saying.
Yeah, we'll check that in a second. Hey, Dark Silver Space, what's going on? Some scary numbers here, for sure. There's still a chance for a crash landing. Yeah. Anonymous.
There's always a chance.
That's what I mean. Unknown unknowns are just that. Unknown unknowns. But if it kept going this way, Hellfish, we definitely would have crashed on the moon. That would have happened. All right. Anonymous, do you think somehow Jared could stay as NASA administrator longer? NASA administrators are not necessarily beholden to presidential term. Dan Golden served through 2 different presidents. And he was a NASA administrator. That has happened. Yeah, it's definitely a thing. Jared, if whomever gets elected president in 2028 likes Jared, he'll stay. Seriously.
I feel like he has enough of that bipartisan charm to be able to make it happen.
Yeah, Sawyer, I'll say that dude seems like he's smart enough to pull that off. Let me put it that way. He's
Well
savvy
said.
enough.
Without getting too deep into politics,
Yeah.
perfectly put.
Yeah, Jared has the balls to pull that off. He could definitely do that. The guy flies around in a MiG-29 for fun. Okay, he could definitely figure that out. He's definitely smart enough.
And takes NASA employees and lawmakers along with him.
Yeah. If he wants to stay on, that's correct. Yes, he can leave whenever he wants.
Yeah, if he says, I want to go on to the next Polaris Dawn mission and pieces out, he can do that.
See, Sawyer, my personal theory is that Polaris 2, the next Polaris 3, the first, it was Polaris 2. My personal theory is that the Polaris 2 mission was basically what Artemis 3 is now. That's my theory.
I agree.
I think Jared Isaacman was going to send a dragon. He was going to fly on a dragon to a starship up in space and dock with it and live on it Skylab style. I think that's what the Polaris 2 mission was. That is entirely speculative. I'm completely pulling that out of my tail. Because we know Polaris 3 was supposed to be the first Starship crewed flight. How safe do you think space flights should be? I mean, I'm not a safety advisory panel person, right? I think that you don't. Okay, you really want my honest opinion? You don't sit here and sitting here and trying to be deterministic about probability of loss of crew in the early parts of the program means your program architecture and ConOps weren't good enough. If you really want my honest to God opinion. The reason why Apollo carried such a risk is because of schedule pressure, because land on the moon before 1970. The shuttle does not have that same excuse, to be 100% real. Now, if schedule pressure is not a thing, right, your safety is derived from operational execution, right? Operational execution and high flight rate when it comes to spacecraft. Same methodology could be applied to flying an aircraft. You never, ever let your guard down when you are flying an airplane. Ever. Period. Full stop. The second you let that skill atrophy, you crash. Something bad happens. I read the NTSB reports all the time. All the NTSB reports that come out, I read them, and then I watch videos about them too. Shout out to Juan Brown and the Blanco Lirio channel on YouTube. You want to learn about aircraft safety? We achieve the airline industry and the airplanes are so ridiculously safe because you never let your guard down. The second you let your guard down, the engine falls off during ascent. During V1, the second you let your guard down, you don't file your flight plan, you don't file your IFR flight rules, and you take off in low visibility, right? And then you try to file the flight plan with the center, and the center controller says you're an idiot. What are you doing? And then the plane crashes. All right. I've learned a lot from Juan about how you do and don't do airplane stuff, right? And a lot of that carries over into spaceflight, something I know a lot about. What's acceptable risk? You don't have to have acceptable risk if your concept of operations are good. Right? The idea is to buy down as much risk as possible. That's my problem with the Orion heat shield. Do I think that revised trajectory is going to work? Yeah, it'll probably work. Probably work is not good enough for me when people are flying on it. I don't give a frick what anybody says. Probably is not going to work. If you were getting on an airline, if you were getting on an A320 and you asked the pilot, hey, are we going to get there? And he's like, yeah, we'll probably get there. You'd be like, what? What are you talking about? Right? So how safe is safe? Safety is achieved through operational execution and consistent operational execution over a high flight rate. That's how you make spacecraft safe. You don't sit there and try to be deterministic about probability of loss of crew. Look where that got us. Sorry, I'll put my soapbox down, Sawyer. Let's read the next one.
It's all good. At least I can't get on a soapbox unless there's a ramp to it, so it's fine.
Hey, in my stream, the soapboxes are ADA compliant. You are more than welcome to soapbox if you want.
Nah, I'm good. I prefer an apple box. Anyway, continue.
Is it bigger? I don't know.
Does size matter?
All right.
Let's read the next part.
Next topic. All right. All right. Safety is achieved by not necessarily focusing on safety. If you accomplish the mission and then do it again, it will be safer and safer. Practice. Yeah. If you practice lazy, you play lazy. You practice hard, you play hard. Operational execution. Do the same damn thing every single time without deviation and nothing will go wrong. Physics is physics. You can work. You don't want to push against physics. You want to work with them, right? Size matters in rockets. I mean, yes, I would. Yeah, yes, that is correct. Blanco Lirio is the best. Juan Brown's a G, dude. I'd love to meet that guy. He's awesome. Yeah, dude. I learned so much about just airplane stuff, and yeah, reading about like the mistakes that people make, like that flight out of Bangor, Maine, the NTSB report, they exceeded de-ice rules by 15 minutes and then tried to take off in a blizzard. Like, I'm not sure what you thought was going to happen, but what you thought was going to happen did not happen. Like, and the reason why is because they ignored FAA de-icing rules. Like, that's just, those rules are there for a reason. They're not there because some bookworm was like, yes, you have to sit there and waste your time. Like, with a derated takeoff on a contaminated runway. What are you?
Derated?
Oh yeah, 85% takeoff thrust. What are you doing? Like, what are you? Stop! Oh my god. Dude, I don't know anything about planes, and I know enough to be like, don't do that. Nope. Dude. Yeah, there you go. Get theiritis, dude. What flight was this? Mm-hmm. It was a Gulfstream that took off out of Bangor, Maine, and a little while back, Shaw. Didn't even look to see if it was built up on their wings, dude. What? Yeah, like, what are you doing, dude? Like, what?
Yeah.
Like, what are you doing? Stop it! Stop it!
Stop it. Get some help.
Stop it. Get some help. Did they crash? Yeah. Yeah, they crashed. No one survived. Yeah, great. Great. Lovely.
Speaking of potentially people not surviving, great transition. I'm good at transitions, right?
Yeah, no, you're great at this.
Jesus.
Yeah, they filed the oceanic clearance. Dude, what a kicker. The tower should have been like, no, you don't take off. Get out of here. Yeah, exactly, Yarg. All right, anyway. NASA ruled out crew rescue capabilities for early crewed Artemis missions.
Yep.
Oh my god. All right. Well, NASA is taking steps to prevent catastrophic events from occurring during the Artemis missions. At some point in the future, astronauts will likely encounter a life-threatening emergency in space. Yeah. Despite NASA having in-space rescue plans for Skylab missions in the 70s and for the space shuttle missions following the loss of Columbia and its crew in 2003, the agency has not required in-space crew rescue capabilities since the shuttle's retirement in 2011. Rook has a lot of work to do, man.
Yeah. You could see there, right, the little asterisk note that goes with it talking about, there's less risk for the International Space Station, so it's fine. But anyway.
Without a rescue capability for the Artemis missions, the crew will be lost should the HLS become disabled on the lunar surface or be able to dock with the awaiting Orion and Gateway in rectilinear halo orbit. That's what I mean about SLS, the Block 1S configuration. Being dude, that's a safety risk at this point. Yeah.
But you gotta love how that's written in there so nonchalant of the idea of if anything happens with the Artemis missions, With HLS becoming disabled on the surface, or you can't dock, the crew's dead.
Yeah.
That is horrible to just put that in there as a normal sentence of, yeah, this is acceptable. That if one of these things that we can predict might happen happens, we have no solution. That's what irks me so much with this.
Yeah. Spoiled, could they send up an empty Dragon on Falcon Heavy to act as a rescue boat? Well, we were talking about that with the USDV a second ago. That's actually a really good idea. You don't need a human rate Falcon Heavy, and if the United States deorbit vehicle is just more or less a Dragon with a service module attached to it, that buys down a great deal of risk, but that vehicle in itself introduces a ton of risk. What data do we have on Dragon coming back from the moon with its Pika heat shield? There is no data on that. No spacecraft has come back from the moon on a trans-Earth injection with a Pika-based heat shield. There have been some exoplanetary missions that have done stuff like that with Pika, but nothing coming back from the moon. And I don't give a frick if it works on Mars. I don't care if it works there. We're not talking about that. I don't care if it works for low Earth orbit. Trans-Earth injection trajectory from lunar orbit on a high-energy insertion is its own. That's a whole totally different beast. You're hitting the atmosphere going 25,000 plus miles an hour. There's no, oh, it'll probably work. There's no, oh, we'll fly a different flight trajectory. It has to work. Period. There's no getting around it. Is this because of bad management or bad engineering? These are programmatic problems. This is what I mean when I talk about programmatic decay in NASA and how this crappy mentality is how we lost Columbia and Challenger and almost lost Starliner. It's terrible. Yeah, exactly, Spoiled. In a pinch, I'd do it too. Sure, yeah. Agency officials noted several challenges to require a crew rescue capability. Crew rescue would require additional consumables as well as an ability to assemble and launch an Orion or lander in a matter of months.
Yep.
Yeah. To make a crew. Yeah, that's lovely. To make
by the way, the asterisk is consumables and commodities that support the conduct of a given mission. Examples include food, water, oxygen, propellant, power, and operational supplies. That's the 50 note.
Yeah, food and water. Yeah, those are important, I think.
Yeah, and oxygen.
Yeah. Yeah, that last one's pretty good. Yeah. This explains the fire that's under Jared Isaacman's tail about not launching every 3 years and trying to launch at least 2 year, like on a 2-year basis. I mean, in the past, guys, I've said 4 years. The reason why I said SLS, like, for instance, should launch like 4 times a year is because of stuff like this. Because of this. Because I did my homework when I read about the damn shuttle program. Because a lot of you guys are younger spaceflight fans. You didn't live through Columbia. That was not fun. Mm-hmm. I wasn't even a big spaceflight fan. It was still not fun. That was not cool.
Same. Same.
You do not want that to happen.
I heard about it on the radio and just spent the entire day glued to Miles O'Brien's coverage on CNN.
Yep. That's SLS not launching 4 times a year is very much a safety issue. I'm dead serious about that. To make a crew rescue attempt, the crew must also be able to shelter in a safe haven until a rescue can be executed. Otherwise, the scenario would result in the loss of crew. Yeah, that's generally what happens. Additionally, it can be prohibitively expensive to have a second Orion standing by to launch and rescue the crew, or to have a spare HLS resting on the lunar surface should the primary lander fail. See, here's the thing. Prohibitively expensive. All right, would you rather have dead astronauts? Like, oh no, my checkbook hurts. We need a paramedic for my wallet, but you don't need a paramedic for your astronauts. Like, I'll take that trade any day of the week. Like, what's wrong with you people?
That sentence just feels gross to me.
Yeah, what type of excuse nonsense is this? Like,
Oh, I'm sorry. We would rescue the 4 people that are up there, but
yeah, near,
that
exactly.
costs money.
Yeah, it costs money. Yeah, that's see, that's the bullcrap programmatic behavior I'm talking about. If Challenger didn't happen because somebody somebody decided to actually listen to when the vehicle has a problem, that leads to the higher flight cadence of the shuttle, and problems like Columbia aren't even a thing. That's not even a thing. High flight cadence can trump that. High flight cadence can trump everything. You have no idea how much that means for safety. Look at Falcon 9. That's a perfect example. Falcon 9 never fails. And even if there is a problem with it, there's so much data about it that the understanding of how the vehicle works, you could pinpoint the problem in a couple of hours and have it flying again a couple days later. Days. For instance, after Challenger, January 28th, 1986, they didn't fly again until late 1988.
And Columbia was February 03, and then they started flying again in 05.
Yep. What was it? 114?
114.
Yep. Watch that mission. Watch that mission
And
on
then
the television.
And then after that, there was, same. I watched the launch. After that, there was not a single mission that wasn't to the International Space Station because, with the exception of the Hubble, because it gave you a safe haven. So the one that they didn't, which was Hubble, they came up with STS-400. But to them, they had that safety net of if something goes wrong, you can send other resupply vehicles to give more food and supplies to the team living on the space station. You can't do that, 250,000 miles away around the moon.
Bingo. I mean, at very best, you're 3 days out. So, yeah, rockets, exactly. Falcon 9 was grounded for 4 days after stage didn't execute a deorbit burn. And that, dude, like, that's the thing. That's why I love SpaceX for the Falcon program. They don't take no crap. Nothing is insignificant. Every single bit of information gets gone through with a fine-tooth comb, because that increases your flight cadence or flight reliability, and that increases flight cadence. If the vehicle is safer, if you know how the system is going to perform, you know it to a T, you can handle a sub 2 day launch cadence. You can handle 170 flights a year. That is what they tried to do with the shuttle, but idiotic program management stopped it. Leave supplies on the moon before you send people. Yeah, they call that prohibitively expensive. Lord Google, I'd call that being smart. Jeez. Wow. Dude, what a freaking thing this is. What a chonker this freaking thing is.
Yeah, and again, that's just the crew risk portion of it. That's not even going over the rest of it, like we were talking about earlier with, hey, they need the government task agreements to actually be able to use them. Of like, hey, can we use the WP-57 when it doesn't land with its gear up? Can we use your testing centers over at Marshall? And it sounds like there was a lot of times where they said no, and the cost was an issue, so it's dealing with that. And then, I mean, there's literally a section, cross-program integration interdependencies could further impact cost and schedule. And it goes into SpaceX's whole delays for Artemis 4, assuming that was going to be the second lunar landing, and Blue Origin's delays for Artemis 5, assuming that was going to be the third lunar landing, which now there's still the whole debacle of it could be one or the other. And it mentions in a weird way the whole Sean Duffy thing of, yeah, actually, we're going to try and move everything up.
Sean Duffy? Question?
Yeah.
What do you?
Wasn't he the interim guy, right?
Yeah, he was the interim. He trying to move stuff forward?
Wasn't he the one who was like, now we should open up debates between maybe SpaceX is going to take too long, so let's bring in.
Oh yeah.
Blue Origin to other people to try and get it done sooner. They do kind of address that, but yeah.
Jared Irwin over in the YouTube chat says, you had a hydraulic problem on GS2 that was out of family. Was able to look back at previous data to quickly find the solution. I can't imagine how easy it is with Falcon 9. Yeah, exactly. There you go. And what? They got two Noogles flights. Blue has 2 Noogles flights under their belt, and a plethora of testing, which we'll talk about more here in a second. Yeah. Yeah, Elon. Yeah, after Sean Duffy said what he said, mark my words, HLS will land with Artemis 3. Mm-hmm. Yep.
Yeah, how'd that go?
Can we see NASA's response for it? Yeah, we'll see.
Yeah, that's one of the Appendix D, I think. Or sorry, Appendix C.
Okay. Let's see what we got. So you said Lori Glaze. Yep. Associate Administrator for Exploration Systems Mission Development Mission Directorate. That's basically running the Artemis program. That's how I always say it. Hang on one second. Yeah, you ain't kidding. Give me one moment. Okay, let's see. So let's see what Laurie has to say. Sedated. Columbia is the first shuttle mission I remember. 7-year-old me has been following spaceflight since. Oh, well, that's interesting that that's what got you into it. But hey, whatever. I mean, Columbia flew STS-109 before that, before 107. Like, 109 was a great mission. Just saying. Yeah, Nader,
Oh, it really was.
experienced Challenger as a kid in elementary school. Yeah, dude. And Nader, being, an aviator, you can't dick around with this stuff. You can't. No monkey business. You really can't be like that, dude. Dude, like I said, if I was running an aerospace company, you wouldn't see happy-go-lucky fun EJ. If somebody clowning around, I'd be like, get the hell out of here. Don't come back. You're fired. Get out of here. Leave. Don't come back. You get one warning and that's it. And the warning is right when I hire people. Like, don't screw around. 1,000%. Yeah, 10,000% too. Top Gun is not real life. Maverick would have gotten grounded. Not even for what he did during Top Gun. He would have gotten grounded for buzzing the tower. He would have never flown a plane again, period. He would have been flying cargo planes hauling rubber dog shit out of Hong Kong after that. I'm dead serious. The Navy would have grounded him instantly. Top Gun shit, that wouldn't have happened in real life. The guy,
It happened to someone who did a flyover of a stadium way too low and way too fast and accidentally caused a sonic boom, and that was it.
Oops.
Yeah.
He would have been the rubber dog poop. Yeah, right. Dude, if you buzz the tower in transonic, you're basically going to kill everyone in the tower, guys. Like, that's another thing. You're going to kill those people. It's like getting hit with a freight train of sound. All right. Conan, you watched STS-135 when I was 4 years old. Also got you into spaceflight. Hey, 135 was... Dude, that onboard picture of Rex Walheim with the absolute biggest crap-eating grin on a scent, that image lives rent-free in my head. He's flying the shuttle. He's just like, this is awesome! And the thing's just going, I'm like, yeah, also, I like you. You're all right.
Yeah, also looking back at the photo of my crap-eating grin from the ground on that one.
Yeah, there you go.
I still look back at that.
All right, let's see. This is NASA's response. NASA appreciates the opportunity to review and comment on OIG draft report. On this OIG draft report, NASA is working closely with its commercial partners as they develop critical hardware elements for Artemis missions that will return American astronauts to the moon by 2028 to assert American leadership in space, lay the foundations for lunar economic development, prepare for the journey to Mars, and inspire the next generation of American explorers. Leveraging NASA's unique and historic experience in lunar exploration, paired with the speed and innovation of industry, the HLS program is providing the key lunar landing capability. Okay, we know what it does, Lori, all right? NASA acknowledges that due to its technical challenges and emergent designs, the partners' schedules have experienced delays. The agency is actively implementing mitigation measures, such as increased collaboration with experts to monitor and manage the partners' lander development while implementing lessons learned to minimize further impact. What lessons? What lessons? You haven't gone to the moon yet.
Artemis 1 lessons, which is not much.
Yeah, what lessons, right? Yeah, no, they'll just put people on the heat shield after it didn't work. What lessons?
Hey, that'll make the heat shields more ablative. Put people on it. They'll blade away first.
Yeah.
You meant on Orion with the heat shield, but my brain instantly went to, yeah, let's tape humans outside the heat shield and use that. Because my brain is messed up.
Operation Human Shield and Operation Get Behind the Astronauts. Hey, have you ever heard of the Emancipation Proclamation? I don't listen to hip-hop! All right. NASA dedicates in-house resources for risk mitigation and technology development applicable to the program at large. Okay, that's a lot of words. Additionally, NASA is working with both partners. Freaking Windows 98! Get Bill Gates in here! It is faster over 5. Additionally, NASA is actively working with both partners to accelerate lander development. Okay, we knew that. Final determinations on technical feasibility, financial impacts, and schedule adjustments will follow as implementation advances. Okay. Safety remains a top priority. Yeah, all right. Sure it does. The Artemis program emphasizes the importance of safety in all spaceflight operations.
About those numbers, huh?
You sure about that? Including the use of historical data and experience to continuously improve vehicle requirements and medical guidance. Well, the test like you fly process is an integral part of NASA's mission assurance and operational practices. Commercial partners can have alternative approaches to flight.
In other words, SpaceX blows up a bunch of stuff, so that's fine somehow.
For example, SpaceX's approach is a continuous loop that integrates testing and development into a single process, allowing for early detection of anomalies, accelerated iteration cycles, and improved data correlation. This methodology is essential for reducing cycle times, enabling more frequent testing, and ensuring that every test contributes to mission success. Yeah, those are all pretty good things. Yeah, those are good.
But also, test as you fly versus, I like that, early detection of anomalies, aka Flight 7, Flight 8, Ship 36, Booster 18.
Ship 36 and Booster 18 were not flying.
No, but you know what I mean.
Yeah, no, yeah, just that. Yeah, no, I get it. It's an iterative
test.
test.
Testing and development.
Yep.
Yeah.
NASA undertakes changes that no other organization, agency, or nation. NASA undertakes challenges that no other organization, agency, or nation can achieve. Where's your landed first stage? Oh yeah. All right. NASA is committed to working to deliver the safest and most effective outcomes, continuously learning to replicate what works and avoid past missteps, an essential discipline for preserving the agency's integrity and legacy. Lori, are we talking about the same NASA here, or do you work for a different NASA that I don't know about? Yeah, no, did that. Someone did that already. It's off of NASA's plate. Yeah, sure. Okay.
It's the National Association of Signing Autographs. That's the agency they're talking about that does that.
Yeah. Okay. The OIG makes 5 recommendations, 3 of which are addressed to the HLS program manager in conjunction with the assistant administrator for procurement to improve the management of government-spent funds, 2 of which are addressed to the HLS program manager to enhance crew safety and survival during the Artemis missions. Specifically, the OIG recommends the HLS program manager in conjunction with the assistant administrator for procurement, 1. Ensure an approach for managing government task agreements that have been canceled, unfulfilled, modified, or realigned is formalized in HLS program policy.
So that was the recommendation that was set by this report.
And NASA says they concur with this recommendation. The request for GTAs and the government's ability to meet requests have evolved over time, which is not unexpected under a complex development program. The HLS program is developing an organized work instruction to clearly document execution and management of GTA processes.
OWI and GTA. Boy, this really does sound like Vice City.
That was a good game, dude.
Forget OWI is operating while intoxicated. Anyway. Completion date.
Estimated completion date, September 30th, 2026. Okay, recommendation 2. This is from the OIG. Ensure an approach for discriminating costs.
Lowering.
For lowering costs for GTA submitted after contract proposal. I don't know why I can't say that word, but anyway. Including a timeline for recoveries formalized in the HLS program policy. Management response. NASA concurs with this recommendation. NASA will demonstrate the implementation of this recommendation with the release of the HLS program GTA OI. Guajikatawi. Okay, so NASA basically said, oh yeah, your second recommendation is good. We're going to do that with the thing that we got for the first recommendation. So, So
there'll be one joint answer to that on September 30th.
Yeah, I'll just put it. It'll all be in my final report. Okay, recommendation 3. Update the use of government resources clause in both the SpaceX and Blue Origin contracts to reflect GTA policy changes. NASA partially concurs with this recommendation. The HLS program will conduct a thorough review and assessment of program policies and updated procedures. What the hell is this sentence? The HLS program will conduct a thorough review and assessment of program policies and updated procedures, and afterwards will determine if a contract clause update is appropriate. NASA will demonstrate implementation of this recommendation by providing OIG with the results of the assessment. If an update is appropriate, the HLS program, in coordination with the Office of Procurement, will incorporate a revised clause through bilateral agreement with the commercial partners and will align with the next anticipated modification.
See final report.
See final report. Decrementing. No, Acolyx, I know how to pronounce it and I know what it means. It's just brain not do that word today. Like, that's the best I can come up with. Bumblebee tuna. Bumbleway tuna. Chicago, you're out of here. All right. Recommendation 4. Consult with the Commercial Crew Program to review post-variance acceptance risk assessment findings related to its manual control waiver for lessons that can be applied prior to HLS certification. If you don't understand what that said, that means go look at the Commercial Crew Program, because HLS is a similar program, and figure out what they did and do whatever they did.
Yeah, to allow them to fly manually, because that was kind of an issue they had.
Mm-hmm. I agree with the OIG there. That should absolutely be a thing. You just never know. It should be unlikely, but absolutely a thing. Like Dragon. Dragon, you can do manual control, but it's very unlikely. Wait, didn't Commercial Crew allow Starliner? Yeah.
But they allowed Starliner with manual control ability, unlike SpaceX, who at this point sounds like they don't want to have that manual control capability given. They want things as automated as possible with essentially zero interaction from humans.
Spoiled, I would argue that Starliner having manual control capability is why Butch and Sonny are home with their families today.
Yep.
Yeah,
concur.
I would say that that's why that is a thing. That thing absolutely would have crashed into the ISS had Barry not taken control of the vehicle. Like, this is within the keep out sphere during RPOD, rendezvous proximity operations. Dude, I cannot stress enough how bad that Starliner mission actually was. Like, dude, that is about as close as you're going to see to a failed mission without actually failing without like someone getting hurt. Like, it's that bad, dude. But manual control definitely made it less worse than it could have been.
By the way, not only did that allow him and Sonny to go back to their families, but also the crew aboard the ISS. Because if you had another mirror incident where you have to manual dock and you miss and you create a
Crash.
giant hole inside one of your modules and decompress, that could be a really bad day.
Yeah, Progress 15 back in the day crashed into Mir because the autopilot didn't work. So somebody on the station tried to remotely pilot the craft in and missed the docking port. Yeah, that's a good call, Sawyer. Yeah, that's dangerous. That's
so yeah. He saved the lives of everyone on board the ISS in addition to the two of them on Starliner.
Yeah, Shogun Apollo 11 was the biggest one. Yeah, that's 1202. Hey, that's what happens when your processor gets a stack overflow. Yeah, because you didn't turn the radio altimeter for rendezvous and docking off. Buzz forgot to shut it off. So
you forget to shut it off? I thought it was he had it on as a way to have an extra source of information coming in.
Yeah, I think you're right, dude.
And then it overloaded the computer because it wasn't expecting that to be on the way down.
Yep, 1201, 1202, 1202. Transport this is solo. I can't get to you. I gotta take control. Take control manually. I'll get down on the Falcon. What? That's Han Solo. Neil Armstrong is just as cool, if not cooler, than Han Solo.
Cooler.
I agree. Does that make Buzz Aldrin Chewie?
I mean, he sounds about the same right now as Chewie, so it makes sense. Listen to him get angry. It's about what he sounds like.
Does that mean the AGC is R2? And Michael Collins is C-3PO?
Anyway.
Michael Collins is cooler than C-3PO.
Say.
Like, way cooler, actually.
His biography is great if you haven't read it.
Yeah, if you don't want to read Michael Collins' whole biography, guys, read about his Gemini mission. Your perspective about that dude will change. There's a reason why he was there for the first crewed lunar landing. That's the reason why he was on the Apollo 11 crew. What he did with the Gemini program, NASA was like, yeah, you're good. You should go on this mission. And he's like, I should go on that mission. They're like, okay. Yeah, read about Michael Collins on his Gemini mission. It is some ballsy stuff. Yeah, his EVA on his Gemini mission is freaking insane, dude. Like, dude, you are out of your mind. It's some Mark Watney stuff in real life. I'm serious. It's absolutely insane. Go read about it. Yeah, good stuff. And the moon is Luke Skywalker. So who's Darth Vader? Richard Nixon.
Anyway, what was management's response?
And JFK is Obi-Wan.
Oh, Jesus. I was trying to stop this from going any further, and yet it continues.
Yes, but it's my stream.
Get worse.
It's my stream. It goes off the rails. You know why it goes off the rails? Because we're not on a train. We're on a hovercraft. Boom!
Oh my gosh. I'm sorry, I'm so used to being the host that has to rail things back in. Go. Keep going.
Dude, you don't need to do that
Where are we
here.
going
That's all I'm saying. You don't need to do that here. It's my stream.
Where are we going next?
This is just... Yeah, all right. Somebody gifted us something. What's up, 1985? Thank you. Updated crew survival analysis, including decision packages to include strategies for extended crew survival. Management response. NASA concurs with this recommendation. The HLS Crew Survival Analysis Report was updated in September 2025 to Revision B, with the latest identification of crew survival gaps. The HLS program has developed 2 decisional packages addressing 1, elevator failure backup method, and 2, depression crew cabin transfer, which will be presented to the HLS control board in calendar year 2026. Depression crew cabin? I'm assuming that's something we didn't read about.
No.
Do you mind if I just...
It's under the constraints, I think. Oh no, that's for Lunar landing. No, this is the only mention of it in the entire report.
That
Nowhere else does it talk about crew cabin pressurization. Talks about schedule pressure. That's about it.
yeah,
And lunar depressions in terms of mounds that are too deep for the legs.
yeah, where we're going, we don't need rails. Insert dock-bound flying train. Yeah, exactly, dude. Yeah. Yeah, depression crew cabin transfer. So yeah, Sawyer, Twitch already said it. This is if the docking port doesn't work. So did you just say that? Sorry.
No, I'm saying they could have just said that.
Oh, they could have just said that. Yeah. It's like, yeah, Max. I don't. All right, guys. Here's the thing. I don't necessarily think this is like SpaceX is SpaceX's architecture is crap. Oh, Blue Origin's architecture is crap. I mean, if it was up to me, we'd just build another LEM. I'm not even kidding. You just build another LEM. And I know what people are going to say. Oh, that would be so hard, EJ. Yeah, harder than this? Harder than this? You're landing a 14-story building on the moon. What do you mean? What do you mean? What is harder? Like, I'm just putting it out there. But this, honestly, guys, what the big gist that I get from this GAO is that, NASA's very much like, we're working on it, but, we're not landing soon, so none of this has really been fleshed out yet. We'll figure it out. No, which is, I mean, honestly, that's bull crap. That's bull crap. I don't care. Dude, you're gonna land. You want to land on the moon in less than 2 years. This should be thought of now. Like, anyway, we have reviewed the draft report for information that should not be publicly released.
I'm guessing they gave him a separate report of, hey, here's stuff that we don't want put out to the public, and they went, okay.
As a result of this review, we have not identified any information that should not be publicly released. This should have been thought of. Yep, Turbine, if somebody gives me a deadline of landing on the moon in 4 years, that problem needs to be solved in 2. Because the rest of those other 2 years is training astronauts, building the equipment, getting ready to fly, doing tests. This should all be fleshed out. Like, there should be very clear con-ops to the surface of the moon and back. Once again, thank you for the opportunity to review and comment on the subject of the draft report. Okay. Digitally signed by Lori Glaze on the 3rd of March. Or 2026 3-2. Yeah. Or is that the 2nd of February? I don't know.
No, I think that's March
2nd.
I don't know if I would think that's doing the...
What date format is this?
What? But is it... Okay, now I'm confused.
Is it year, day, month, or year, month, day? I don't know. Like, that's not even the date format that the Europeans use. Like,
right, why couldn't they just do like they said for estimated completion date, August 30th, 26? Why couldn't they just say? I don't know.
At least the Europeans have an argument for theirs making sense because it's how you'd say it in English. Like, what the hell is that?
2026 0302. I would think March 2nd, but...
So year, month, day?
I mean, I was just filling out a form that asked for it in year, month, day. So...
No. Day, month, year. But then again, we do month, day, year, which really is stupid. But hey, whatever. Doesn't matter. That's dumb. I like my way better because it's what I'm used to. Too real?
It was signed either on February 3rd or March 2nd.
Or March 2nd. it was one or the other,
At 9:25:49 at -5 UTC.
Sorry. I just banged my knee on my desk. Ow. All right.
I can't relate.
I mean, you can. You just wouldn't know. Just saying.
Well, to your pain and agony at the moment, I cannot relate.
Oh, okay. You ever hit the funny bone on your elbow?
Yeah, it's not funny.
Yeah, it's not funny because it's my leg. Like, it's my knee. That's not an elbow. It's not your funny
What do you
bone.
mean? That's one of the funniest parts. It's your humerus.
That is your arm, man, not your leg.
I don't know. I went to school for journalism, not biology.
All right. Yeah, it's like the cast today. Somebody's like, EJ, you didn't say that word right. I'm like, yeah, you know, I'm a nerd. You want somebody to say the word right? Find a languager. Oh, geez. I love how NASA
Also,
did.
I'm from like New York, New Jersey. We don't know words anyway. We don't know what part of the body is what. We just talk about this or that. That one. What hurts? That.
That's fair. From my experience with government folks, it's all year, month, day, year, month, day. All right, cool.
So March 2nd.
Yeah, all right. That one.
Which makes sense that it got released 8 days later.
Mm-hmm. If you're going to build a base on the moon, where are the designs for habitats and materials? Yeah, that's probably something you should be figuring out at this point. That's Shogun. That's part of the reason why the Apollo applications program existed in the first place, because part of it was figuring out how to, there's landing and then there's spending 3 days on the moon, which is what Apollo 15, 16, and 17 did. And Shogun, I know you probably know this. I'm just telling you guys this just as a matter of fact. The later Apollo missions, so there's 11, 12, and 14. The first 3 landings. Those were kind of land, put the flag down, do some things, and then leave. The 15, 16, and 17 were uprated missions. Those guys spent 3 days on the moon on 15, 16, and 17, the ones with the rovers. They were out there for a long time because they were figuring out how to live on the moon. That's what they were doing. And doing a ton of science. Like, yeah, it's... they had all that stuff figured out, basically. Dude, they had all those later missions. I believe they were called K missions in Apollo.
I think it was K.
K missions. They had an alpha, a letter designation for the complexity of mission for the Apollo program, going from A all the way to K. Actually, it went way further. There were Apollo I missions. There were Apollo, like, all the way down to S. Yeah, and G missions too. Yeah. There were technically apology missions, but people use that as a pun. The idea was your iterative testing to get all the way to the surface, and then the missions to live and work on the moon after that. The K missions were the start of it. The J missions were Apollo 11, 12, 13 technically, even though it didn't work, and 14. The I missions that came before that were missions like Apollo 10 and Apollo 8. And it went all the way up to A being the first Saturn 1 launch. Yeah, they had letter designations for the missions, and every time they got subsequently more complicated. But they had all of this figured out basically by 1964. 64, 65 is when the Apollo program architecture kind of coalesced. And then they spent the rest of the 60s building it and actually doing it. Point being, and Shogun, this is the reason why I mentioned it. Point being is that, dude, I agree with the OIG. It is unacceptable that they don't know what the HLS demo flight is going to look like. You don't know. Dude, this is a mission that's 2 years away. That's ridiculous. Yeah, it's unacceptable. You can't do that. And honestly, I like Lori Glaze, but her response is like, yeah, we'll put that in the final report that we've done. That's bull crap. Like, not to say that Lori will or won't do it, but there's nothing of substance there. That's just nodding and smiling in PDF form. Yep, we'll do that. Yep. Okay.
Yeah, that's absolutely the government non-answer answer.
Yeah, like, I think, but then again, I think the reason why she answered that way, Sawyer, was because they are currently doing a review of and consolidating the timelines and redoing the architecture, which is probably why she said that, if I had to guess.
Yeah, because that was before it went public, so it was kind of the generic filler until a couple days after she gave her response, where they totally revamped the entire program.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yep. Somebody asked me, actually, Space Noodles, you're asking, could Gateway be repurposed as a lunar surface habitat? I would want it as a low lunar orbit, low lunar station. It would be fine there, and its propulsion thrusters would be plenty good to get some good science out of that thing. Its propulsion systems would be great. It's solar electric, and you could resupply it. So I would do that with it rather than bringing it down to the surface. It's much more suited. That's like saying, you know, I have the money to buy a fully working 747 with pilots and maintenance crew to fly it around, but it's cheaper to operate it as a house. Like, no, Gateway should fly. Like, if we're going to do something with it, make it into a low lunar station.
Anything but near rectilinear halo, please.
Yeah. But in order to do that, that's really contingent on either A, Orion having a much better service module. No offense to the Europeans. They built exactly what we told them to build, and they did a damn good job with it. The problem is that service module is gutless. It has nothing. It doesn't have a lot of delta V because it's not that the version of Orion that decided to get made after the Constellation program got canceled was the Orion MPCV, not the CEV. There were two versions of Orion starting in 2004 all the way to when Constellation got canceled in 2010. There was the Orion CEV, which had an upgraded service module for lunar exploration. And then there was the Orion multi-purpose crewed vehicle, which had something that's much more of an amalgam to the European service module. It actually had a lesser service module because the short story with this is the reason why you would do that is because the Orions that you were ultimately going to send to Mars are not going to need an uprated service module. You don't need that because you're not doing not a TLI. You're not doing a lunar capture and insertion burn around Mars. The transfer vehicle does it. So you don't need as big of a service module. It just works as a lifeboat. So they chose to take the multi-purpose crew vehicle, and make that Orion instead, and then contract the smaller service module out to the Europeans to try and make the program more sustainable. But the reality is that if we're going to explore the moon like this, Orion either has to have a stage have the upper stage do a circularization burn to get Orion into low lunar, or B, have an uprated service module so Orion itself can get into low lunar. And if they do either one of those things, if they figure out a way to to put Centaur 5 with aces, their ULA's reusable Centaur upper stage that can mitigate propellant boil off with an internal combustion engine duct taped to the side. You think I'm kidding? This was a concept. If they do that, then the Centaur 5 could be used to circularize Orion in low lunar, and then you could just go over to Gateway. And you could refuel Gateway, you could resupply it, but it could be in low lunar, so it goes over the landing site like every, I don't know, hour instead of every 6 days. Yeah, the problem would be it would be shorter due to orbit elongation issues. Well, Aqualix, to be 100% honest with you, high flight rate. We're talking about how high flight rate ensures safety. It ensures safety and ensures operational capability. If you're launching to the moon 4 times a year and you can refuel the Gateway with the Esprit module that they're proposing, who cares? Who cares? Everything else is a coping mechanism. Oh, it lasts longer in rectilinear halo orbit. Yeah, that's great. It also doesn't do anything up there. That's kind of important to understand. Could the power and propulsion element be used as a tug to bring Orion into low lunar? No, not enough kick. Good idea, though. That I would argue, Pigzig, that would be a good idea for a future spacecraft. An electric space tug would be great. You made that internal combustion engine in automation and put it in a Miata. Nice. That's awesome, Bill.
Nice.
Isn't the ESM something like a quarter of the delta V of the Apollo service module? Yeah, Vicaro. Once again, dude, and hi, by the way, I really like the way Apollo did, and Vicaro, those are good conversations on the Flame Trench on Friday. That was fun talking. I I really like the way Apollo did it. So Apollo made a service module that's capable of putting the LEM and itself into low lunar, but they ended up doing low Earth orbit missions with it for the Skylab program, right? You know what their solution was? Their solution wasn't to build a whole new damn service module. Their solution was to fill the service module up with a half tank of gas. Yeah. It's only going to low Earth orbit. You don't need 1.5 kilometers a second delta V to rendezvous with a damn space station. So just fill up the tanks halfway and call it a day. And who knew? The capsule ended up being half the mass. That's really strange. And, you know, you don't have to design a whole new service module. That's
what a crazy concept.
I know. Huh? Those guys really knew what they were doing, man. I mean, Joseph Shea is the guy that came up with the con ops for the Apollo program. He really, like, legendary. Dude, he would have been the best Kerbal player of all time. Like, let me put it that way.
Nice.
He was the best guy around. What about Apollo 13? What Apollo 13? Joseph Shea, I believe he's dead, yeah. He's the one that came up with Lunar Orbit Rendezvous, sending it all in one shot, him and Von Braun and a couple of other guys. He's the one that came up with a 2-stage LEM. He's the one that came up with the design for the damn LEM. Joseph Shea, look it up. Smart. Bro, he would have destroyed Kerbal. Like, I'm talking full RSSRO playthrough, he would have absolutely thrashed on it.
Wow, that's a bold claim.
Dude, it's Joseph Shea. He came up with the Apollo. He came up with the LEM. The LEM was his design. I'm pretty sure he'd be good at it.
Yeah, I don't know. No, I'm kidding.
Yeah, I don't know. It's pretty hard. Yeah, right? Yeah, but Carol, people were getting pissed at me in that Flame Trench chat for saying nice things about SLS. Dude, I was like, what the heck, man? I don't think what I'm saying is that crazy. And people are like, no, you suck. And I'm like, why? What did I do?
That's wild. That's wild.
Yeah, I was like, dude, I just want to always have a way to get to the moon. Is that hard to ask? No, EJ, you're an idiot. I'm like, I mean, you're right, but damn, dude, you don't need to say it. Joseph Shea equals R2D2. Yes. Yes. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. There's some valid reasons why they wanted high eccentricity orbit for Gateway, though. Low perturbation at AP and low impulse requirements for corrections. Yeah, I understand, Aqualex. But if, you know, and maybe I've changed my opinion on it, because you're right. I understand the requirements, dude. It's not that I don't understand the requirements. It's that Gateway is just a speed bump if you're trying to achieve a high flight rate. I'm sorry, it is. Oh, great. It has low impulse requirements. That's awesome. You're trading low impulse requirements to keep this, frankly, sack of trash space station up there, right? And you're making your lunar lander like tenfold complicated because of it. That's dumb. That's really dumb. That's not smart at all. I screw a space station at that point. Just put a relay up there. In fact, just put the PPE up there and have it act as a gateway, as a relay station, and just don't ever go near it again. You know, ever. Just use an ion engine. Spoiled Gateway has ion engines. It has big ion engines on it and gigantic solar panels. Did Firefly push again? Oh, I don't know. What's up, Sawyer?
Wouldn't be surprised. I mean, the Gateway hardware is spectacular. The planned purpose and use plan for it is not. It's not like we're, putting up junky pieces for Gateway. There are some modules that I feel like could really sustain a great lunar presence, but not in near rectilinear halo orbit and something where you're maybe visiting it once every 30 days and not really maintaining it.
Yeah, I agree. Gateway is just a liability if you're trying to go to the moon all the time. I'm sorry. It's maybe I don't know. I'll take high flight rate.
It becomes its own permanently, crewed thing with excursions down to the surface. or not, even if it's not permanently crewed, where there's weeks or two where there isn't people. But
Yeah.
I don't know. I like the concept. The execution has been
Dude, I've
god
always
awful.
said my criticism of Gateway really is like I don't mind it. Would I do something different? Yes, absolutely. My big thing with Gateway is that the right time to launch Gateway was in 2021 or 2022. That's what, if it was up there right now, it would be superbly helpful. Like superbly helpful. In fact, I would send I would have sent Artemis 2 to that dang thing. Or now maybe Artemis 3 after Artemis 2 did a free return. Like it would be awesome to have that out there. But we don't. It's sitting in a factory somewhere, and somebody tightens a bolt like to a torque spec and then walks away and then comes back and tightens another one the next day. Anyway, Sawyer, we got the breaking news. Look on the screen.
Oh no, I saw. I've been keeping track in the back channel because NSF is providing some of the live stream services for Firefly. So, yeah. Blame hydrogen, blame helium, now blame fluids.
We are standing down for today's Alpha Flight 7 launch attempt. After the team saw some off-nominal readings during fluids loading, we continue to be intentionally cautious with a focus on quality and reliability leading up to the test flight. We will work with Space Force Delta 30 to determine the next available window. More to come.
So this isn't one of those missions, is it, where they were planning the rapid turnaround where government goes to a provider like Firefly, which they've done in the past, and says, hey, we want to launch this within the week. Can you do it? This wasn't one of those, was it?
Say that again?
Wasn't there a thing where they had one of the missions that Firefly flew was meant to be that, a military like the Space Force or whatever, or Air Force could come up and say, hey,
Rapid
this is
response
a high priority.
capability. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Was this one of those?
Stairway to
I hope
7?
not.
Let me check.
I hope it's not, because
Yeah,
if
really,
so, that
yeah.
rapid part is, yeah.
Alpha Flight 7 will test and validate key systems ahead of Firefly's Block 2 configuration upgrade on Flight 8. So it's a test mission.
All right. At least it's not. At least they're being cautious, and it's not one of those where they needed to get it off quicker.
Maybe I should save this for Flame Trench. They keep encountering these off-nominal readings and out-of-family things with this rocket. Guys, okay. Look. There's only so many times you can... And I don't mean this to denigrate Firefly or anything. I like those guys. Those guys are cool. I know a ton of people that work there. Really cool people. But honestly, whoever's making these decisions, I think, has the red line parameters for this rocket set a little too conservatively. It is a test flight. You're testing a lot of Block 2 configurations here, yes and no. But if you get to your launch campaign and you have problems like this, we're being intentionally cautious with a focus on quality and reliability, that's all fine and dandy to say for the press. But honestly, these problems would have shown up in testing, stuff like this. Off-nominal temperatures, off-nominal propellant, off-nominal reading during fluids loading, stuff like that. Why didn't this show up during a wet dress rehearsal? Did you do a wet dress rehearsal? Long story short is, guys, like, I love Firefly. I love them to death. These problems should not be showing up now. If they're showing up now, that means you didn't do your homework good enough, or whoever's assessing risk for Firefly is being way too conservative in their parameters. It's one or the other. Like, I'm not sure. I don't even know if Sawyer, did Firefly's IPO go through, or are they planning on doing that still?
I don't know. I haven't looked, so I'm not sure.
It makes sense, especially after a failure. No, Max, it doesn't. It doesn't make sense. It doesn't make sense at all. Because after a failure, I would want every part of this rocket gone through with a fine-tooth comb. Every single part, every nut and bolt, every single one of them should be done exactly the same way that you did, minus the failure mode from the last flight. But no, they went around changing things. This is introducing Block 2 components. Okay.
It is traded publicly, by the way.
They are traded publicly, so their IPO
Yeah.
did go out. So that might be influencing the judgment here, you know. Point is that after a previous flight failure, you decided to upgrade your flight hardware. Okay? That's all fine and dandy. Start from scratch. Start from scratch. You change the configuration of the vehicle, not just to address a failure mode from the last flight. You change the configuration of the vehicle to in anticipation to buy down the risk of a future version of said vehicle. Start from scratch. Wet dress rehearsal, tank tests, composite tests, engine tests, everything. If Firefly had a stage blow up on the stand a couple of months ago. No, this is not how you do this. Like, these problems should not be showing up right now. They shouldn't be showing up. Like, I only say this out of love, like, because I would genuinely wish no commercial spaceflight company any wrong. Like, this stuff, you have to be on top of this. We just got through talking about this. Like, the fact that they're having all this bad luck on the road, there's no, I mean, I do believe in bad juju in spaceflight, but there's no bad luck with fluid loading. It's like SLS with those damn seals. You know, on Artemis 1, they rolled it to the pad, the seals leaked. So they swapped out the seals on the pad to the hydrogen umbilical, and then it worked. On Artemis 2, they rolled it out to the pad. Right? Started to do a wet dress rehearsal. Guess what? The seals leaked. So they swapped them out on the pad, and then the seals worked right. Why didn't you just do that in the first place? Because that's what you did the first time to make this work. See what I mean? There is, like, I do believe in superstition when it comes to launches, but there's no bad luck. Like, you are the one that improves your chance of success here, especially when it comes to something like fluid transfer. Like, once again, I'm not trying to be a jerk. I really am not. I love Firefly. Like I said, I know a ton of people that work there, and they do good work. And I think Jason Kim, the CEO, is fantastic. But these problems should not be happening right now. This is stuff that should have shown up in testing. Yarg, Alpha has failed an awful lot of times, dude. Firefly is down 72% from IPO. That's what happens after an IPO spoiled. Watch. SpaceX, when SpaceX does their IPO, which I still think is a dumb idea, when SpaceX does their IPO, it's gonna go down into the toilet right after they do it. Everyone's going to say, they shouldn't have done this. They shouldn't have done this. I'll probably say it too. And then it'll go back up. Oh, you're talking SLS seals. Well, I'd give them the 2 times, but if they don't do that the 3rd time, now then it's a major question. Oh, they're not. They're not going to do it a 3rd time. They're going to roll to the pad again with the same seals that they swapped during wet dress rehearsal too. They're changing the LOX seals, actually. Yeah. They're changing the LOX seals, which have worked right every time. Do I have a pulse? Like,
That's debatable.
yeah.
You got Duncan going through your veins. That's what it is.
Yeah, that's right. Freaking love Duncan, guy. It makes sense not to change the seals until they are out at the pad. There you go. But they're not going to. Part of when they rolled Artemis 2, when they rolled the Artemis 2 stack back to the VAB, part of it was like, okay, we're gonna swap the seals here. We're gonna swap the oxygen seals. The hydrogen seals are fine. We're not gonna touch that. Yet every other time they've installed the hydrogen seals on the TSMU, on the core stage umbilical, inside of the VAB, it has never worked out on the pad on the first try only after swapping the seals out. Like, I'm just saying, like, maybe you should roll it to the pad and then change the seals. Like, I don't know. Maybe you should do that. But anyway, either way, guys, like that's what I mean. Like these problems show up in testing, so you make the mitigations and change it. Like this kind of thing right here, we continue to be intentionally cautious with a focus on quality and reliability. Reliably doing what? Sitting on the pad and doing nothing? Because that's what it's done. It's pretty good at that. Like sorry for my kind of, candid tone. It's just you can't. This stuff, a fluid transfer problem, bro. Come on. What are we doing here? Just don't hook up the umbilical to the pad. Oh, I don't know, Mutter. That's a good idea because that's what worked. Give me a second, dudes. Anyway, Sawyer, what do you think? You think they're gonna go this week?
I don't know. It's all going to depend on what the issue is. I'm going to be very careful on what I say, though, given that I do work for NSF, and NSF is the launch stream partner for this.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's the Lori Glaze answer, I know, but... Anyway, I think I'm going to head on out then, let you guys continue talking about other topics, and we will go much more into depth on this and analysis on the Flame Trench Friday.
Yeah. All right, man. Well, hey, thanks for going over that OIG report. I still got a bunch of space news left for you guys if you want. You tell me what you want to do. It's getting a little late. We could always do it again tomorrow because there's going to be more Texas tank watching, and we'll probably go right into space news. That seemed to have worked pretty well today. So post them on Discord, Aaron Rod. Yeah, I want to see that.
Well, EJ, it was good hanging out with you. Let's do this again later in the week.
Absolutely, man. I'll see you on Friday.
Sounds good, and possibly tomorrow, given whatever testing happens.
Yeah, that's right, dude. Yep. I'll see you.
Bye.
Thanks for being here. See you, buddy.
No problem. Bye, chat.
See, Sora's going to give you the diplomatic answer. I am not. And I don't do that because I hate Firefly. I don't do that because I have a bone to pick. I do that because I want Alpha to fly, and I don't want to see it explode. I've watched every single Alpha flight, and I've watched a lot of them fail. And I know the people there are jonesing for a good mission. Like, it's tough love, dude. But I ain't no dissenting opinion or anything. I think they do a good job. Look at Blue Ghost. They're one of the only commercial companies to land something on the moon. They got the balls to do this, figuratively. You just figure out this stuff, dude. You can't dick around with it. Anyway, that was Sawyer Rosenstein. He's a commentator over at NSF, popping in about the OIG report. I want Firefly to fly as well. Yeah, no ruds. Yep. But honestly, fellas, look, if they go to fly this thing and this happens once, no big deal, right? But how many times has this thing scrubbed now? Like, dude, going back to like NASA, props to them to have the stones to be like, yeah, roll back the vehicle. We're going to do that. Yeah, it sucks. We're going to end up launching a month later, but we're got to roll the vehicle back. We got to do it. We got to do it. Like, what do you want? Sometimes it's better to just be like, yo, bring it back. Start over. We'll figure it out. Like, Like, see, look, you know, like, this was the tweet before that. Alpha Team Flight 7 completed testing and verified all sensors are reading normal. We've stepped back into the final launch operations for liftoff to Stairway to 7. Standing down because the team saw some off-nominal readings during fluids loading. Out of an abundance of caution, Firefly made the decision to stand down today on Alpha's Flight 7. This was from the 9th, that's from yesterday, to investigate sensor reading that was out of range. Stepping into the Stairway to 7, the team completed the launch readiness review, and we are go to move into final operations. I don't think you are. In collaboration with Delta 30, Firefly confirmed March 9th. Is it available launch Alpha 7? Yeah, we covered that. That's the Antares 330 interstage. That's sick. That's really cool, actually. If anything, Firefly is the A+ on their composites game. It's good stuff. Flight 7 has been scrubbed today due to high upper-level winds that exceeded FAA safety parameters. FAA safety. Huh. They didn't say upper-level winds, spoiled. They said FAA safety parameters. Maybe I'm reading too much into that. That's something funky. There's something funky going on here with this. Now I'm not so sure. Something's funky with this. Something's very funky there. Why would they say FAA safety parameters? That's such a weird way to put that. Everybody else just says upper level winds. Is there anything else here? Hold up. See? Look. The range assesses high upper level winds. Something funky is going on here, dudes. Yo, that's a really weird way to say that. The range assesses high upper level winds, and then they say it exceeded FAA safety prep. Okay, there's something funky there, guys. All this sensor data stuff might be because all this weird sensor stuff, all this stuff might be because they were ready to go and the FAA said no, and now their rocket's been sitting on the pad for an extremely long period of time. Yeah, that's FAA safety parameter. No one's ever called it that. They always say the upper level winds from the range, like they did in the previous tweet. Something funky is there. I'm not entirely sure that this is all Firefly now. Sorry, I had to do some digging there. I apologize for the tweet scrolling on stream. Huh. Ah. It also could have been because of air traffic with California. Yeah. But there's no flight corridor up there by Lompoc. But probably a new guy tweeting for them. Well, Strickler, that new guy tweeting for him, said those two tweets, the one that says range upper level winds, and then the one that says FAA safety parameters, those tweets were a couple hours apart. Yeah, guys, I'm not entirely sure that it's all on Firefly here to be 100% real, but also at the same time, if the FAA says upper level winds are a problem and are a problem for your vehicle, and they say don't launch, and then the vehicle has problems that have nothing to do with that, what are you doing? I shared them on Discord for you in the car channel. Sitting on the pad shouldn't cause issues. That's a good point. But do you know that? Do you know that for sure? Just because other rockets can sit on the pad for a long time doesn't mean yours can. If anything, I would be very stringent about it because Alpha is using carbon composites. It's all carbon composite structure. I would be very careful. And it's not like they can go knock on Peter Beck's door and ask him. Does the FAA have set parameters for upper level winds? You know what, Rarest? I don't know. I'm not sure. My gut is telling me that because it's the FAA, there are probably flight rules on a per vehicle basis, just like there's flight rules for planes. Like a 737 can only land with a maximum crosswind. That's all FAA mandated stuff. You know, there's only a certain cross-range capability for like a Cessna. Basically a Cessna cannot land in a crosswind. We tested that in Flight Simulator. It did not end very... I mean, I did land the plane with a gnarly crosswind. I basically flew a Cessna 152 in sideways with like a 30-knot crosswind and landed the plane. The problem is that 30-knot crosswind was enough to flip the plane over sideways. It was enough to push my wing into the ground, and the plane just kind of just started doing circles because one wing was in the dirt. Anyway, let's do a little bit more space news. Let me find the rest of the links. Actually, I might move some of this till tomorrow. We got the OIG. We got Firefly. Okay, here. Check this out, dudes. Yeah, they must have submitted documents that state their address levels for wind. They might know their modeling assumptions are super conservative, and it would still push if it was over 2% over and the FAA prevents them. Yeah, Jock, this is not it's not, yeah, I don't know, man. They really got to make some adjustments. They got to figure this out, and they got to figure out fast. All right, check this out, guys. Dave Limp posted this today during tank watching. It's a picture of New Glenn's factory down in Florida, specifically Glen Stage 2. Look at all of them. They're all in a row. Oh, boy. This is... I have a feeling we'll see improvements with the Artemis lander program with Steve at the helm. I agree. So we've seen up to Glenn Stage 5 being tested, because Dave Limp actually, here, I'll show you guys another thing that he posted. Check this out. Dave Limp posted this the other day. So Blue Origin had the New Glenn second stage test stand out at LC36. And they hot fired the 5th New Glenn stage. Nice. Here's another shot of it. Nice. Nice. So that's Glenn Stage 5. That's for the 5th flight. GS2 Flight 5. Serial number 5. That's what it is. That's their naming convention. So that means in this freaking picture alone, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, and 11 got to be in this picture. At least pieces of most of them. That's a lot of upper stages. Do you guys... This kind of feeds the theory that I was saying a little while ago about how Blue entirely wanted... They entirely thought they were going to nail Glenn Stage 1's first landing on the first flight. And how they do not have a lot of New Glenn first stages in the pipe, but they have a lot of second stages. See what I mean? They're using Pad 36 as their McGregor. Yep, that's their main launch pad that they put that second stage test stand on. Scaling like you want to launch a mega constellation or something. How many New Glenn flights do you think we'll get this year? At least 3. I'd say at least 3. Because Glenn Stage 3, 4, and 5, right? We've seen 1 and 2. 1 and 2 flew, right? 3, 4, and 5 are operational, right? They've been tested, so they're ready to go. And then you have 6, 7, 8, 9, and 10 here. 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. And then those are Glenn Stage 1 stuff over there. Look, this is a New Glenn engine section. You could tell because of the nacelle on the side. See this thing? That's what this space right here where my mouse is, where the landing legs are. And then right there in that picture, there you go. There's your 2 other operational stages. So that's 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Oh, and then those ones right there have to be the ones in the other picture. Hello. Okay. Wait, let me take a look. Where's that barrel segment? There's that barrel segment that's in the other picture. See it over there? See this cylinder? From this angle, that cylinder is right there. Man, that's a lot of upper stages. Did you count the white one in the upper left? Yeah. I'm pretty sure that those are the ones in this picture. These ones are fine. These ones are completed. 201. These are finished. Or they're very freaking close to being finished. Man, those upper... Put it onto the SLS core. Oh, fingers. Dude, SLS would very much benefit from having one of the... You don't think. You don't think. Surely. Surely you jest. Not all of them, Leon. But not even one? You don't think? I mean, sorry, it popped into my head. For what it's worth, I agree with you. I think these are all Glenn stages. But also, that's a lot of stages. Don't call me Shirley. All right, Linda, or something. Could they refit ML2 to the NG second stage? Sure. I mean, it'd be a pain in the butt, but sure, similar commodities, right? Yeah, for what it's worth, guys, I think these are all for New Glenn. I would say that, I would say that that's 3 and 4 over there, and then 5 is this one. So that means they have 3 flight ready stages right now, or at least 3 stages that are extremely close to flight, and these ones are a little ways out. That one is the most completed out of all of these. Actually, it's this one or this one. That one has the cap closed. That one has the cap open, meaning that there's still some open items inside of the tank, so they have the hatch off. Every tank does have a hatch. It's just not, once you bolt it down, it's not really designed to come off. It's not like a ingress hatch or something. That is for doing work inside of the tank. That one, notice that it has a cap on it with a FOD cover. So I would say that one's closer, and then that one, and then this one, and then that one over there. See, that one over there doesn't have its aft dome. The jig is empty. So this is the jig for integrating and installing the aft dome. That's what that whole stand is. And then your stir welder is right there. The eye stir welder for stir welding the dome on is right. It's right there. You can see it. So basically, this big old thing is a gigantic rotisserie, and it's a rotisserie where they can kind of skewer all the sections of the stage together, and then they rotate it, and the welder just turns on, and they just stir weld the entire thing. Any plans for after hours? I don't know, man. Yeah, maybe. How's the first stage coming along? I'm going to go ahead and guess that that's probably a piece of it right there. That's definitely a New Glenn first stage engine section. That one, they blurred the picture, so it's kind of hard to tell, but this still has a lot of safety scaffolding inside of it, so I would say that's not near finished. It's close. I mean, it's definitely along. It's got its corrosive primer, and they have thermal protection system, the Comet stuff on the outside, so... You have a Starship booster, probably. Probably want to get some sleep for tank watching. Yeah, there is more space news, but yeah. Like, and I think just because of the tank watching, it's probably a good idea. Crazy idea. Super heavy that with a GS2 on top, then another GS2 on top of that, then Orion. I mean, how are the people getting in that, dude? And what pad is it launching from? I bet they have that pic over there in the corner just in case people forget what it looks like. Yeah. Yeah, Bob, it's like how assembly lines have a picture of the car on the wall. Too real? Dr. Longballs, you're a Ravens fan. Call me. I'm crying. The butterfly effect from Loop missing that kick is insane. The Ravens pulled out of the Max Crosby deal. Knee is gone. Oof. What are we building again? Right. There, another testing window popped up tomorrow, DH, after they closed the road, after the road closure ended today. Oh, jeez. Yeah, fellas, I'm a little bit on the tired side. Yeah, crazy idea. Yeah, that's fair. That's fair. All right, dudes. Well, that's going to do it for the Space and Rocket review. There is still plenty more stuff, but I hope you guys enjoyed that OIG report. Sawyer and I are probably going to talk more about that on Flame Trench. I'm just trying to see if there's much more here. So tomorrow, if we ever get some time, go dream of Cractorio. See, like, that's the thing, dude. If we weren't doing tank watching tomorrow, I would absolutely play right now, but nah. So I'll pencil in us for noontime, but we'll see what happens tomorrow for tank watching. Yeah, I'll pencil us in for noontime. I might be here a little bit earlier because we could do work on the car. We can do some car stuff in the meantime. While we're waiting for tank watching, or I don't think playing Factorio is a good idea tomorrow, fellas. I really don't. I want to just sit there and shoot at bugs with the artillery pieces all day. Is that bad? Yeah, so let's tentatively schedule some car stuff tomorrow, tank watching, and then I really want to try to make that X76 in Kerbal. I really want to try to do it. We'll play it by ear tomorrow for tank watching and space news, okay? You're saying the game has become a hindrance to productivity. But if I'm productive in the game, then it works. So I have to, it's either be productive in Factorio or literally like be productive in everything else. Is that bad? That's bad. But then again, being productive in Factorio is good for the business. But I'm too tired for this, man. I'm going to go get some rest. I advise you all to as well. Tomorrow's going to be there's going to be a lot tomorrow. So it's like when I'm doing good in the game, I'm doing good in real life. Yeah, so I'm going to get some sleep for the time being. Let's see who's still over live on Twitch. Let's see if we can drop a raid. On YouTube side of things, I hope you enjoyed the Space and Rocket review, and on Twitch as well. Yeah, there's not many people around right now. Yeah, don't worry about it then. I'll see you guys all tomorrow. We'll plan for 12, but I might be here a bit early depending on what happens, okay? Thank you very much for watching, dudes. I hope you guys have a great rest of your night, and I'll see you all then. Good night. Thank you.